Chapter 321. Ning Cheng's eyes narrowed and did not continue. This forsaken land was a bit strange. The one who blocked Princess Man from stabbing her eyes was definitely not Princess Man herself. "Little man, what's wrong with you?" A panicked voice arrived, followed by a middle-aged man rushing in like a shadow. This middle-aged man was extremely fast, but Ning Cheng could still see him clearly with his spiritual consciousness. This person was an expert, and should be a pure martial artist. Looking at his appearance, it was somewhat similar to the Prince and Princess Man. Presumably this person was the city master. This middle-aged man rushed to Princess Man's side, and raised his hand to poke Princess Man a few times. Princess Man's wound instantly stopped bleeding. He then took out a small bottle from his belt, and poured some medicinal powder on Princess Man's wound. A few maids reacted at this time, and quickly came forward to help Princess Man bandage her wound. Ning Cheng could clearly see from the side that this city master really had a few tricks up his sleeves. His method of stopping the bleeding was very powerful, and even the medicinal powder seemed to be a top-grade medicinal powder. "Father, this person wanted to assassinate me." Princess Man also sobered up, and immediately pointed at Ning Cheng while crying. Compared to the time when she was outside the Yaluan city, when she was riding her unicorn, it was a complete contrast. Ning Cheng snickered in his heart. A city master also called him father. However, since the prince and the princess had already come out, then another king would not be a big deal. "Little sister, are you all right?" Only at this time did the prince rush in. This city master also did not have the time to observe the Ning Cheng trio until now. When he saw Ning Cheng sitting there with a calm face without moving, he frowned slightly, and then asked in a very gentle voice, "You should be a guest invited by Little Man, right? Why did you attack Little Man?" Ning Cheng showed a faint smile. "You should be the city master, right? You can eat indiscriminately, but you cannot speak indiscriminately. There are so many people here who saw it. You can ask clearly if it was me who did it. Then you can make a decision, otherwise I will get angry." The middle-aged man increasingly felt that something was wrong, whether it was the person in front of him or not, but this calm attitude, and the tone he used to speak to the city master, made him feel that something was not right. His eyes swept over the dozen panicked guards, and asked in a deep voice, "What happened just now?" The guard in the lead quickly stepped forward, and spoke about how the short sword had bounced up for no reason. He then told them about Princess Man's repeated stabs. After hearing the guard's words, the middle-aged man suddenly smiled and waved at the guard. Then he cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng and spoke, "I was too reckless a moment ago. I am called Yi Zhonghuan, the city master of the Yaluan city. Since you are Xiaoman's guests, then you are also this Yi Zhonghuan's honorable guests." At this time, even Princess Man did not dare to speak any more nonsense. She even stared at Ning Cheng in panic. She was well aware of her father's ruthlessness. Just based on her complaint a moment ago, it didn't matter if she was injured by the Ning Cheng trio or not. The Ning Cheng trio would also be turned into minced meat, and then thrown out to feed the beasts. However, not only did his father not do so, but he even greeted them politely. Clearly, these three people were not simple. Thinking about how she was injured just now, it seemed a little strange. The prince, who had just arrived, was also staring at the Ning Cheng trio, completely unable to understand what was going on. Why would his royal father be so polite to Ning Cheng? He vaguely glanced at Yin Kongchan and Su Yingde, but did not dare to speak. "I am Ning Cheng. I am not your daughter's honorable guest. More than a month ago, your daughter rewarded me with 3 blades and 6 holes outside the Yaluan city, for which I am very grateful. Today, because your son took a fancy to my woman, he rewarded me to help him do things, and then took away my 2 women. You see, did I not come to your daughter's princess mansion to express my gratitude?" Ning Cheng calmly spoke. Yi Zhonghuan was shocked in his heart. His daughter's injuries had been wrapped by him. Wasn't it 3 blades and 6 holes? He had come to collect his debt. Controlling a sword with his internal chi, at least he did not have the ability to do so. Moreover, this young man's internal chi cultivation was unexpectedly above his own. Not waiting for him to finish his thoughts, Ning Cheng suddenly stood up, while his entire body overflowed with murderous intent. Not good, he wanted to fall out with him. Yi Zhonghuan's experience was far more than his son's. So when he knew that Ning Cheng's cultivation might even be above his own, he decided not to clash with Ning Cheng for the time being. Since Ning Cheng had taken the initiative to look for trouble, how could he continue to watch? He did not even think about it, as he turned around and slapped the prince behind him twice. You really have guts. My Yaluan city is a city governed by the law, yet you dare to test the law? Come, throw him into the death row. Slap slap, two crisp sounds emerged. Even if the prince's aura was fierce, under Yi Zhonghuan's 2 slaps, this guy's mouth still overflowed with blood, while 5 purplish-red finger marks were left on both sides of his face. The guards were so scared that they did not even dare to breathe. The city master doted on his children. It could be said that he had reached the extreme. Usually he would not even scold them, not to mention this kind of ruthless beating. How could Ning Cheng not know that although Yi Zhonghuan beat him fiercely, but the fact was that he did not use too much force. He waved his hand and spoke. Wait for me to put him in jail. I still have something to ask him. Prince, come here. Even his royal father was so cautious and polite towards Ning Cheng. As such, the prince did not dare to say anything, as he carefully walked towards Ning Cheng. I heard that you found the location of the awakening spiritual gate in the abandoned spiritual mountain? Let me have a look at the map. Ning Cheng casually spoke. The prince froze for a moment, but before he could answer, he heard Yi Zhonghuan's voice. Hurry up and bring it. At this time, the prince did not dare to speak even half a word of nonsense, as he quickly took out a detailed map from his body and handed it to Ning Cheng. The map depicted the abandoned spiritual mountain, and also clearly marked the location of the awakening spiritual gate. Ning Cheng put away the detailed map, and once again asked, how do I get to the abandoned spiritual mountain? Go get a map to the abandoned spiritual mountain for Brother Ning. Yi Zhonghuan waved his hand to a guard beside him. The guard was very fast, and in just a short time he hurriedly ran over with a map, before handing it to Yi Zhonghuan with both hands. Yi Zhonghuan smiled and handed the map to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng took the map and looked at Yi Zhonghuan with a smile. City Master Yi, you really are not simple. No wonder the Yaluan city is so prosperous. Before I left, I helped City Master Yi with his divination. You should stay still and not move, City Master Yi. Please take care of yourself. Saying that, Ning Cheng turned around and left the princess's garden, before disappearing into the distance with Yin Kongchan and Suing Day. Royal Father. After Ning Cheng left, Princess Man and the prince called out almost at the same time. Yi Zhonghuan had not yet spoken, when a guard came forward and reported, Your Majesty, the 4 generals are already waiting outside. I know you can go back first. Yi Zhonghuan waved the guard away. Royal Father, so you were already preparing for it. Princess Man and the prince immediately understood what was going on. Yi Zhonghuan sighed and spoke. Little man, you should have guessed it. Your injuries were definitely caused by that Ning Cheng. You gave him 3 blades and 6 holes, and now he gave you 3 blades and 6 holes. Previously, I thought that this person's cultivation was above mine, so I tried to stabilize him, and then mobilize the army outside the city to kill him. Speaking until here, Yi Zhonghuan's eyes revealed extreme fear. But he finally asked where the abandoned spiritual mountain was, which made me completely afraid to make a move against him. Why? Princess Man's tone was filled with unwillingness, and even clenched her fists. Yi Zhonghuan spoke in a deep voice. Among the people here, who doesn't know about the abandoned spiritual mountain? If I did not guess wrong, then this person must have come from the outside. When he first came in, he was affected by the laws here, so his cultivation was sealed, allowing little man to easily punish him with 3 blades and 6 holes. But now that he has at least recovered a part of his cultivation, and did not even use his hands or feet, it can be seen from the fact that he was able to injure little man. Wasn't it said that when people from the outside came in, all of their cultivation would be completely sealed? The prince asked in shock. This is the terrifying thing about this person. He is definitely not an ordinary person. To be able to unlock the seal on his cultivation in this place, how could he be simple? If he really came from the outside, then even if my Yaluan city's army completely surrounded him, it would only cause rivers of blood, and would not have any effect on him. Moreover, his last words were a warning to me. If I dared to send the army to intercept him, then it would be absolutely unimaginable. Yi Zhonghuan's tone became more and more severe as he spoke. Princess Man and the prince immediately broke out in cold sweat, especially Princess Man. She finally understood why the other party was so arrogant, and did not put her in his eyes at all. Then why did he spare us? Why did he spare my little sister? I once heard that people from the outside are extremely cruel and merciless, and would never put the lives of ordinary people in their eyes. Not to mention a massacre, even if they wanted to destroy a country, they would not even blink. The prince asked again. Yi Zhonghuan frowned and spoke. I don't understand. I once heard that the cultivators from the outside are called cultivators. It stands to reason that once a cultivator comes in, it would never be so easy to talk to them. Should we send someone to give it a try first? Princess Man still felt somewhat unwilling in her heart. Yi Zhonghuan spoke in a stern tone. This matter cannot be mentioned again, whether he is a cultivator from the outside or not. It is already a blessing for us. Ning Cheng's trio came out of the Yaluan city's central gate, which shocked all the people who saw them. This was the entrance to the city master's mansion. Yet 3 ordinary people dared to do such a thing? Some of the people who wanted to make a fortune had already gone to complain. Did you say that last sentence deliberately? After walking out of the city gate, Yin Kongchang glanced at Ning Cheng. She was very clear about the meaning of Ning Cheng's last sentence. That is, if Yi Zhonghuan really dared to bring the army to intercept him, then Ning Cheng would definitely kill him. As a cultivator from a major academy, Yin Kongchang really did not understand why Ning Cheng would let go of the Yaluan city's city master. Now that he had recovered his strength, it was more important for him to settle grudges quickly. Although the laws of the Yaluan city are a bit harsh, but compared to other places, it is still a lot better, so I am not willing to kill. Ning Cheng finished speaking and took out an airship-type magical weapon. Let's go. Once we reach the abandoned spiritual mountain, we can then leave this forsaken land. Chapter 322. Yin Kongchang glanced at the airship that Ning Cheng had brought out, but did not speak. She was very clear that the flight-type magical weapon that she had left behind for Ning Cheng was not this airship. If this airship was not given to him by Suing Day, then it meant that Ning Cheng had another storage-type magical weapon. At this moment, she really wanted to ask if Ning Cheng's geocentric 9 essence had truly been taken away by her. After Ning Cheng took out the airship, he immediately became aware of Yin Kongchang's gaze. He was a smart person and instantly understood Yin Kongchang's thoughts. However, he also did not care about it. Many cultivators would not only have one storage magic treasure, so it was not a strange thing for him to have 2. He was sure that Yin Kongchang would not have the face to ask about the geocentric 9 essence. If Yin Kongchang really asked about it, then he would definitely not give it to her. If Yin Kongchang did not ask about it, then in the future if he obtained more of the geocentric 9 essence, then he might even give it to Yin Kongchang. The prerequisite was that he had to come out of the bottom of the Blood River Mountain. After Ning Cheng took control of the airship, Yin Kongchang and Suing Day both knew that Ning Cheng had not only recovered, but he had also completely recovered. The 3 of them each had their own thoughts. For a moment, there was silence and no one spoke. Even if Ning Cheng's speed was not fast, it could even be said to be slow. Following the map, he arrived at the abandoned spiritual mountain, and quickly found the awakening spiritual gate. At this time, at a place far away from the awakening spiritual gate, there were dozens of soldiers hiding and guarding this place. As soon as Ning Cheng arrived, these people immediately surrounded him. Ning Cheng did not waste any time, as he stimulated his true essence and threw all the guards a few dozen feet away, before shouting, "There is nothing for you to do here. Go back and tell Yi Zhonghuan. This time he is tactful. If you dare to allow the people of the City Lord's mansion to show off again, I will crush the City Lord's mansion into dust." Scram. In the face of such a powerful Ning Cheng, these guards did not dare to utter even half a word of nonsense, as they quickly got up, and in just a moment, not a single one of them remained. After all the guards escaped, Ning Cheng finally had the time to observe the awakening spiritual gate. The awakening spirit gate looked no different from an ordinary gate, but outside the awakening spirit gate, there was a kind of vine-like plant. These vine-like plants wrapped the entire door like the legs of an octopus. This vine-like plant wrapped the entire door, making it look like the legs of an octopus. This door was completely wrapped by these vines, making it look no different from an ordinary plant out. The door was completely wrapped in green vines and looked no different from an ordinary plant. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell on this vine-like thing, but he had not yet started, when several green vines suddenly jumped out from the door and rolled towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng quickly took Su Yingde and Yin Kongchan and quickly retreated, narrowly avoiding the vines. "I-chan," Su out. "This is a rank 6 demon plant. Even a profound core cultivator would not necessarily be its opponent. That prince is simply crazy, to actually let an ordinary person like you deal with this human-devouring rattan." Yin Kongchan spoke in a horrified voice. "Tian demon tian kan tian to chun. Tian to say out. Tian out to tian. Haha, found it, awakening spirit gate has finally been found by me." A wild laughter sounded, and then two men rushed over. The lean man walking in front on seeing the Ning Cheng trio immediately shouted, "Fuck off, this is not a place for ants like you to come." Wait, the strong-looking man behind him looked straight at Yin Kongchan and Su Yingde, as he swallowed a mouthful of saliva and spoke, "Elder brother Wan, look at these two women." While speaking, he once again swallowed a mouthful of saliva and spoke, "So beautiful if only." The lean man also stopped, as he looked at Su Yingde and Yin Kongchan in amazement. He also felt that these two women were inconceivably beautiful. However, he did not show the same pig-like appearance as the strong-looking man behind him, and spoke in a cold voice. "Chengji, the wife in your house is also not bad. I am wholeheartedly pursuing higher things. If you like these two women, then I suggest you take them home and live happily ever after. You are not suitable for what I am pursuing." The strong-looking man forcibly took back his gaze from the two women. "Elder brother Wan, since I am ready to rush out of this place, then I have already made up my mind. How can I not be firm in my confidence? Come on, let's go and open the spiritual gate together." This man seemed to want to prove his words, as he took the first step forward. The lean-looking man glanced at Ning Cheng and sneered, "If the two of us arrive at the awakening spirit gate, and the three of you have not left, then there is no need for you to leave." Saying that, he also rushed forward. The two of them had not yet reached the awakening spirit gate, when dozens of human-devouring rattans stretched out from the top of the awakening spirit gate, surrounding the two of them. However, the two of them did not panic, as they grabbed the long knives in their hands and chopped down. However, when their knives chopped down on the human-devouring rattans, it was as if they were chopping steel, as not even a trace appeared on it. Two pitiful screams erupted, as the human-devouring rattans instantly wrapped around the two of them, while simultaneously dragging them to the top of the awakening spirit gate. The Ning Cheng trio could clearly see that the two of them were gradually withering away, and finally, not to mention their clothes, even the steel knives that they were holding in their hands had completely disappeared. What a powerful human-devouring rattan. Ning Cheng spoke with a sigh. If his cultivation had not been restored, then even if he came here, he could only stare helplessly. This kind of human-devouring rattan, not to mention his tri-edged thorn, even if he had a spiritual artifact long knife, it would still be useless. Ning Cheng stepped forward, and directly brought out his true cosmic devil axe. Countless human-devouring rattans rolled out, locking the true cosmic devil axe in place. With a twist of the true cosmic devil axe, it broke free from these human-devouring rattans, while the true cosmic devil axe completely twisted apart these long vines. But what made Ning Cheng horrified was that after these human-devouring rattans were twisted apart, new vines quickly grew out. Moreover, these human-devouring rattans that were broken apart on the ground were still jumping, as if they could entangle a person at any time. What a powerful thing. Ning Cheng knew that this kind of thing, other than using fire to burn them all, even if he used a magical weapon to cut them apart, it would not have even half a shred of effect. Ning Cheng put away the true cosmic devil axe, and threw out several fireballs. The human-devouring rattans that Ning Cheng had cut apart on the ground quickly turned into flying ash under the fireballs, disappearing without a trace. However, The human-devouring rottans that were growing on the awakening spiritual door were not affected in the slightest. The fireballs at most caused the leaves of the human-devouring rottans to wither a little, but in an instant, these leaves once again returned to their original state. Ordinary fireballs cannot burn them. Yin Kongchan and Suingde suddenly became worried. Once Ningcheng's fireballs could not burn these human-devouring rottans, then they would not be able to leave this place. Ningcheng gave a snort and took a few steps forward, and once again threw out dozens of fireballs, while at the same time forcibly stimulated the Star River in his Zifu. The Star River trembled slightly, and a scorching hot aura was sent by Ningcheng to the human-devouring rottans on the awakening spiritual door. Boom! Just like dry firewood poured with oil, the flames on the human-devouring rottans instantly sprang up, and in just a few breaths of time, the flames completely disappeared. Moreover, the human-devouring rottans on the awakening spiritual door no longer existed. Ningcheng was secretly shocked in his heart. He had never seen such a powerful flame. The Azure River had not yet sprouted. Once the Star River sprouted, just how terrifying would it be? Compared to his true fire, it was countless times stronger. Yin Kongchan and Suingde also looked at Ningcheng. The flames just a moment ago were just too terrifying. Ningcheng smiled. I had burned my true essence a moment ago. I did not think that it would really be useful. Now let me try. Saying that, Ningcheng once again brought out his cosmic true devil axe. Not waiting for his axe to strike the huge stone door, the stone door unexpectedly automatically opened. Hey, the awakening spiritual door opened automatically. Ningcheng was stunned for a moment, before he immediately spoke to Suingde. Junior apprentice Sister Ingde, you quickly come over. Suingde, on hearing Ningcheng's words, quickly walked over to Ningcheng's side. Yin Kongchan also silently walked over. Before Ningcheng's attitude towards her and Suingde was the same, but now Ningcheng's attitude towards Suingde was obviously different from hers. Let's go in. Ningcheng grabbed Suingde's hand and took a step into the awakening spiritual door. Yin Kongchan also did not hesitate and followed Ningcheng with a step. A burst of intense dizziness swept over them, causing the three people's thoughts to stagnate in an instant. Bang bang bang. The three people sobered up almost at the same time, as a strong spiritual chi swept over them, causing the three people to almost moan in comfort. We came out. Yin Kongchan could feel that her cultivation had completely recovered, causing her voice to tremble slightly. Only by losing something would one know how precious it was to have it. We really came out. Suingde also spoke out in surprise, but her hand was still holding on to Ningcheng's hand, and did not let go. What is this place? Ningcheng looked at the desolate surroundings in doubt, as he did not know where he had been transferred to. Yin Kongchan glanced at Ningcheng and Suingde holding hands together and spoke. This is the Tian continent. It is definitely not wrong. I do not know where this place is, but I have been here once before. Big brother Ning, I want to go to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect with you. And then. Suingde tightly held onto Ningcheng's hand, as she spoke in a shy voice. Ningcheng suddenly sobered up, although he took care of Suingde compared to Yin Kongchan. But Suingde's expression clearly indicated that she wanted to talk to him about something important, something that he was not mentally prepared for. Thinking back to the time when Suingde came to his bed in the early hours of the morning, Ningcheng did not know what to say. At that time, he had almost taken Suingde. The places that people could touch were all touched by him. How could he just wipe his mouth and forget about it? However, in the depths of his heart, Ji Luofei's position had never wavered. The feeling of being together with Ji Luofei and the feeling of being together with Suingde were completely different. I'm leaving, thank you Ningcheng. Yin Kongchan, who was looking at the two people in the distance, suddenly spoke up. Having said that, she had already taken out her shuttle. As the shuttle left, Ningcheng once again received a sound transmission. The secret of my body, please help me keep it, Kongchan thanks you. Chapter 323. Although Yin Kongchan left, Suingde did not care about it. Instead, she turned around and faced Ningcheng. Her eyes were blazing hot, as if she was asking Ningcheng, "You haven't answered me yet." Ningcheng was a bit taller than Suingde, As such, when he looked down, he could see the faint snow-white hooks on Su Yingday's neck. At this moment, his mind once again replayed the scene of Su Yingday stripping naked. Ning Cheng's hands subconsciously tightened. Just as Yin Kongchan had said, he was not a saint. Feeling that Ning Cheng's hand had slightly tightened, Su Yingday once again let out a moan sound as she threw herself onto Ning Cheng's chest, even squeezing her whole body into Ning Cheng's body. Ning Cheng's breathing quickened as he tightly hugged Su Yingday. Su Yingday's incomparably soft body, coupled with that faint fragrance, made Ning Cheng feel hot. He could even sense that there was an aura of love within the fragrance. Su Yingday also felt Ning Cheng's fiery hot body pressing against her lower abdomen. She certainly understood what it was. She did not close her eyes this time, but opened her eyes wide and looked at Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng could clearly see the watery charm in Su Yingday's eyes, as well as the longing in her eyes. Su Yingday's neck was suffused with this kind of seductive charm, and turned into a light red color. This light red color, coupled with her incomparably white skin, made people tremble in fear. "Now you want me." Su Yingday's fragrant breath blew onto Ning Cheng's face, giving off a deep and distant feeling. Ning Cheng could no longer hold back his own needs. People would always change. Su Yingday was no longer the Su Yingday from before. Ning Cheng did not speak. He picked up Su Yingday, and the actions of his hands showed his thoughts. A white-robed woman, who seemed to be treading on clouds, was looking at Su Yingday and Ning Cheng from a distant place. When she saw Ning Cheng passionately holding Su Yingday in his arms, and even putting his hand into Su Yingday's clothes, she gave out a slight sigh. No one understood Su Yingday better than her, and no one understood the severing emotions Dao sect better than her. "Ning Cheng, I really like you. Thank you for also liking me. Now I have to go." Su Yingday's voice was soft and sad. Ning Cheng was slightly surprised for a moment, but before he could even speak, a faintly discernible sharp sword had already passed through his core lake. The next moment his entire body felt as if it was being torn apart. At this moment, Ning Cheng knew that he had been plotted against by Su Yingday, but he clearly did not see Su Yingday use any kind of magical weapon, nor did he see Su Yingday use any kind of attack. Ning Cheng's hand loosened, allowing Su Yingday to fall to the ground. But Su Yingday stood firmly and did not fall, while Ning Cheng fell to the ground. At this time Ning Cheng could clearly feel the sharp sword that had pierced through his core lake. No, to be exact, it was a sharp sword that he could not even touch. He couldn't sense the shape, color, or any other information about the sword. The only thing he could feel was that his core lake had indeed been pierced by a sharp sword. At this moment, Ning Cheng did not get angry. He did not even ask why. The moment he was pierced by the sharp sword, Ning Cheng finally understood the relationship between desire and love. Because there was no love, he was not angry. Su Yingday had severed her emotions. What she had severed was her own emotions. It had nothing to do with him. He doubted Yin Kongchan's words. Yin Kongchan had said that as long as they entered into dual cultivation, she would not be able to successfully sever her emotions. But in the early hours of the morning, Su Yingday had clearly wanted to enter into dual cultivation with him. So why was Su Yingday still so ruthless? He started to think about whether Su Yingday and Yin Kongchan had joined forces to plot against him. If Yin Kongchan was really plotting against him, then her acting skills had already reached an unparalleled level. In the Severing Emotions Dao sect, I have been cultivating the Severing Emotions cultivation method since childhood. All the obsessions, impurities, emotions, desires, under the influence of the Severing Emotions cultivation method, they would all condense into a sort of severing emotions. The sort of severing emotions is silent, colorless, tasteless, formless and intangible. When severing emotions, the sort of severing emotions would cut into the body of the lover, and the sort of severing emotions would slowly cut off everything about you. Su Yingday spoke slowly, her eyes were calm, but Ning Cheng could feel that she was completely different from before. If she still had some emotions before, then at this moment, there was only an aura of pursuing the great Tao circulating around her. "I only hope that your love for me is not that deep, so that you would suffer less. You would not be in pain for 3,600 days, and then turn into a cripple." Ning Cheng still did not speak. When he was cut off by the sword of severing emotions, his entire body felt like it was about to tear apart, but the pain only lasted for a few breaths. At this time, apart from not having any strength, he no longer felt any pain. At this moment, Ningqing understood that Su Yingde was right about one thing: the less love, the less pain. He did not really love Su Yingde to the bone. To put it bluntly, he felt more apologetic towards Su Yingde, but also a kind of resonance. The impulse from before was because of a normal man's normal choice. Perhaps it was because of this that the tearing pain in his body quickly disappeared. Ningqing was secretly afraid in his heart. If Su Yingde really became his wife, then with his personality, he was afraid that he would never be able to forget this woman. Fortunately, Su Yingde was a bit impatient, and did not have the time to do it, before she decided to sever her emotions. Now, as long as Su Yingde did not kill him, he was absolutely sure that he could melt away the sword of severing emotions, and at the same time restore his core lake. To put it bluntly, Su Yingde simply did not understand love. For a person who did not understand love, to use empty words to sever her emotions, the severing emotions Dao sect was truly ridiculous. Su Yingde once again looked at Ningqing and spoke. Severing my emotions is not heartless. Thank you for saving me. I know that you will also suffer in the future, so I might as well give you a quick death. Ningqing secretly cried out in his heart, when a faintly discernible flame wrapped around him. The terrifying flame made it so that he could not even shout out. Glancing at Ningqing, who was surrounded by the faintly discernible flame, Su Yingde slowly walked to a distance, waved her hand and scattered out countless array flags, while at the same time sprinkling out countless spirit stones. A pill fell into her mouth, and the next moment her imposing aura skyrocketed. Even the sky began to turn dark. Only the people from the Severing Emotions Dao sect knew that Su Yingde was about to advance to the soul-sculpting realm. The people from the Severing Emotions Dao sect, after severing their emotions, would immediately advance. This was also a consistent method of the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Moreover, the most suitable stage to sever one's emotions was before the Soul Essence realm, or before the Soul Sculpting realm to sever one's emotions. Boom boom boom. The first wave of thunder resounded in the distance. Su Yingde's complexion was calm and tranquil. She had already forgotten about Ningqing, who was countless miles away. After she advanced to the Soul Sculpting realm, she would no longer have Ningqing in her heart. The terrifying flame trapped Ningqing, not to mention that Ningqing was unable to stimulate the Celestial River at this moment. Even if he could stimulate the Celestial River, he would not be able to extinguish these flames. These flames were completely different from ordinary flames. As such, he did not know what kind of flames they were. Under this kind of fire, the desperate need for a woman almost burned him from the inside out. Regardless of whether Su Yingde was vicious or not, Ningqing did not have the mind to care about it at this moment. He could not even control himself at this moment. Burning flames of lust? The white-robed woman who had been watching from a distance landed in front of Ningqing, as she spoke out a single sentence. Then she looked up at Su Yingde, who was crossing her tribulation in the distance, before giving out a sigh and speaking. Not only did she sever her emotions, but she also severed the burning flames of lust. Saying that, she looked down at Ningqing, who was struggling with the burning flames of lust, shook her head, and unexpectedly reached out with her hands to pick up Ningqing. The burning flames of lust on Ningqing's body did not have even the slightest effect on her body. The white-robed woman turned around and took a step forward, before disappearing without a trace in a twinkling of an eye. No one could eliminate the burning flames of lust. Even if it was the white-robed woman who rescued Ningqing, she would not be able to eliminate the burning flames on Ningqing's body. The only thing she could do was to give Ningqing a few spiritual ice pills. The spiritual ice pills turned into a trace of coldness, allowing Ningqing to sober up for a short moment, allowing him to feel that he was being taken away by someone. Ningqing forcibly revolved his true essence, wanting to dissolve the burning flames of lust and the sword of severing emotions, but no matter how hard he tried, the burning flames of lust only grew stronger and stronger. He vaguely saw a woman sitting in front of him. If he had the strength at this moment, he would have thrown himself at this woman. However, Ningqing knew that even if he wanted to, he would not do such a thing. This woman had saved him. Even if he was burned to death by the burning flames of lust, he would not do such a thing. He had his own pride and bottom line. As the effects of the spiritual ice pills gradually faded, Ningqing once again began to feel confused, while his mouth turned dry. Any kind of cultivation method was being operated by him indiscriminately, regardless of whether it was useful or not. Suddenly Ningqing felt that the faint flames in his body had been contained, and at this time another spiritual ice pill fell into his mouth. Ningqing's consciousness once again sobered up, and he immediately understood what was going on. Just now when he had operated the embracing young god tactic, the burning flames of lust had unexpectedly been contained. Not only was it contained, but it had also turned into a force that impacted his corporeal body, allowing his corporeal body to grow stronger. Ningqing suddenly came to understand. The embracing young god tactic was not a cultivation method, but turned out to be a body-forging cultivation method. Any kind of torment to the corporeal body, under the influence of the embracing young god tactic, could be transformed into an impact force that could condense the corporeal body. After understanding this point, Ningqing slowly calmed down. He was constantly operating the embracing young god tactic, and the burning flames of lust was gradually being refined by him. Although there was still a terrible desire dominating him, but he was able to control it. The severing emotions sword that had pierced through his core lake, under the influence of the embracing young god tactic, melted away like ice and snow. Moreover, the damaged core lake, under the influence of the mysterious yellow aura, was instantly restored. Not knowing how long had passed, Ningqing's cultivation was finally restored. Ningqing opened his eyes, and when he saw that the person sitting in front of him turned out to be a woman who, whether it was temperament or appearance, was even more beautiful and noble than Su Yingde, he was immediately stunned. This kind of noble temperament he had only ever seen in one person, and that was elder sister Shu. But this white-robed woman in front of him was obviously not elder sister Shu. She was like a fairy that came from above the ninth heaven. As long as one looked at her, one would feel a sense of tranquility. Don't move around, your situation is very bad. The white-robed woman spoke out in a soft voice. Who are you? Why did you save me? At the moment when Su Yingde severed her emotions, Ningqing had completely matured. The strong desire was still churning in his body, but he was barely able to control it. I'm called Shi Qianghua, Su Yingde's master. The white-robed woman spoke to Ningqing in a very soft tone. It was completely different from the indifference she would have when speaking to others. Ningqing's complexion immediately changed. It was the severing emotions Dao sect again. Initially, when he had gone to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to propose a marriage for Su Yingde, he had heard that it was this woman. The disciple had severed her emotions on this father's body, and now the master had also come to sever her emotions? This father came from earth. It is not that I do not know how to be black, it is just that I do not like it. Do you all think that I am easy to bully? Ningqing suddenly covered his chest. Shi Qianghua was just about to investigate Ningqing's situation, when Ningqing, who was right in front of her, suddenly raised his hand like lightning, and several shadows that she could not even see exploded on Shi Qianghua's body. Chapter 324. Shi Qianghua had never thought that Ningqing, who in her eyes did not even have half a shred of strength, would suddenly explode. Even if her cultivation was a lot higher than Ningqing's, in the case where she was caught unprepared, and at such a short distance, she was still hit by the explosion head-on. For those who had their emotions severed by the sword of severing emotion, how could they still have the power to resist? And there was even an attack that could burn one's body? It was even more impossible to resist, but how did Ningqing do it? Not waiting for her to even think about it, Ningqing's two hands were just like flowers fluttering in the wind, as they continuously bombarded Shi Qianghua's body. He did not care whether Shi Qianghua was a woman or not. Although Shi Qianghua was angry at Ningqing for suddenly launching a sneak attack, but she did not put Ningqing in her eyes. The difference between her and Ningqing's cultivation was simply too big. Even if she was restrained, she could undo it in a breath's time. However, Shi Qianghua soon felt that something was wrong. Ningqing was not simply suppressing her. Rather, Ningqing's technique was just like an array flag, which completely imprisoned her Zifu and Dantian. Not only was she unable to use her spiritual sense, But even her true essence was completely imprisoned. The Forsaken Land. Shi Qianghua called out in horror. She had obtained an introduction about the spiritual consciousness and true essence in the Forsaken Land. Ning Cheng's technique was exactly the same as the one used to imprison true essence and spiritual consciousness in the Forsaken Land. How could Ning City be related to this ancient Forsaken Land? And he even knew the method to imprison divine sense in the Forsaken Land? Although she knew a little about the confinement techniques of the Forsaken Land, she definitely wouldn't be able to do it. While Shi Qianghua was still in a state of shock, Ning Cheng had already completely sealed Shi Qianghua. The next moment, Ning Cheng raised his hand and tore off the white robes covering Shi Qianghua's body. A kind of virgin fragrance that almost made Ning Cheng dizzy. Ning Cheng stared blankly at Shi Qianghua's beautiful body. At this moment he did not know if he was drunk, or if he felt that he was wrong. He had already seen Yin Kongchan and Suing Day's bodies. If someone said that there was a woman with a body more perfect than these two women, Ning Cheng would not believe it. But now he believed it. Shi Qianghua's body was the most beautiful masterpiece of the Creator. It was so perfect that no words could describe it. Ning Cheng sobered up at this moment, but when he saw the two dark red spots, the desire in his body once again rushed up. Ning Cheng, without any hesitation, tore off his clothes and pressed himself against her, without any prelude, without any unnecessary movements. At least at this moment, he did not feel any psychological burden toward Shi Qianghua. Would a woman from the Severing Emotions Dao sect save him? Other than looking for him to sever his emotions, what other matters could there be? Since they wanted to find him to sever their emotions, then they would have to pay the price first. He, Ning Cheng, was not a person who could be easily bullied. Shi Qianghua was shocked by Ning Cheng's brutality at this moment. She had always been a celestial fairy-like existence in the mortal world, so when had she ever seen such a stance? At this moment, she even forgot to resist. Ning Cheng had already sealed her, yet he still wanted to do such a thing? When Ning Cheng tore off his clothes and pressed down on her, her face instantly turned pale. She could clearly feel Ning Cheng's desire. She wanted to push Ning Cheng away, but her cultivation was sealed. Ning Cheng's incomparably strong body, coupled with his masculine aura, caused her body to have a shy reaction. She had never imagined that she would have such a reaction one day. Shi Qianghua immediately knew that if she did not immediately break through her cultivation, she would lose her chastity. Ning Cheng's body was burning hot, as well as that kind of desire. At this moment she was clearer than anyone else. Ka. Shi Qianghua's cultivation was far stronger than Ning Cheng by countless times. Even if Ning Cheng used the technique that he had just comprehended from the Forsaken Land, it was still not enough in front of Shi Qianghua. When she began to attack the seals on her body, Ning Cheng's incomparably powerful seals, just like fireworks, completely shattered. A burst of stabbing pain came, causing Shi Qianghua to be stunned for a moment. She even forgot to continue to unlock the seals on her body. At this moment, she clearly felt that Ning Cheng had already taken possession of her. Even if she unlocked the seals, so what? 2 lines of tears fell from the corners of her eyes. More than 30 years of chastity, unexpectedly was so easily taken away by Ning Cheng. She did not understand why Ning Cheng would do such a thing. She had investigated a lot of things about Ning Cheng. She was also proficient in divination, and was able to calculate a lot of things. Ning Cheng was a very kind and principled person, so why would such a person treat her like this? In any case, she was also Ning Cheng's savior. Was it because of Suing Day? But if it really was because of Suing Day, then she would be the most wronged victim. Except for Suing Day and Suing Day's grandmother, no one else knew her position in the Severing Emotions Dao sect. As the pain disappeared, bursts of involuntary reactions surged up from her body. Even with Shi Qianghua's cultivation, she was unexpectedly unable to control the reactions of her body. Shi Qianghua bit her lips, did not move, nor did she make even the slightest sound, allowing Ning Cheng to crazily run through her body in the most primitive way. She could feel the burning desire in Ning Cheng's body, which gradually dissipated along with the movements on her body. Cultivating the burning body yang qi poison in the spirit domain, the mysterious yellow aura, the starry sky's flame seed, the everlasting blue thunder city. except for the mysterious yellow bead that would automatically hide itself. All of Ning Cheng's secrets were completely exposed in front of Shi Qianghua at this moment. Shi Qianghua even forgot about the shame and the pleasant feeling in her body. She did not expect that Ning Cheng would have so many secrets. Uff! Ning Cheng gave a long sigh. At this moment he felt the burning body yang qi in his body completely dissipate. His whole person felt as if it had been washed by the rain of the immortal world, as if it had been washed away, and was now bursting with energy. As long as he was willing, the next moment he could advance to the great circle of the profound core realm. Ning Cheng climbed up from Shi Qianghua's body with some guilt, although he did not feel any guilt before, but after he really did it, he was still unable to get over this hurdle in his heart. He was very clear that the reason he had used to force himself on Shi Qianghua was somewhat far-fetched. Regardless of whether Shi Qianghua would use him to sever her emotions, at least it had not started yet. Even if it had started, whether Shi Qianghua would be able to sever her emotions or not, it was all up to him. Moreover, how could the accounts of a master and a disciple be linked together? These were simply two different things. At that time, he had been burning with desire, and had found an excuse for himself to do Shi Qianghua. Now that the burning body yang qi and the burning desire had disappeared, he felt somewhat sorry for Shi Qianghua. Fortunately, Shi Qianghua's cultivation was currently sealed by him. Otherwise, with this woman's cultivation, it would only take a second for her to turn him into flying ash. I'm sorry, but your disciple tried to sever her emotions on me, causing me to end up in a miserable state. So before you could sever your emotions, I had to deal with you first. Ning Cheng looked at Shi Qianghua, who was staring at him, and felt a bit scared in his heart, as he spoke out in a stubborn manner. Even he himself blushed at the thought of such a reason. This reason was not shameless, rather it was simply too shameless. Shi Qianghua did not speak, she just sat up, and once again took out a set of clothes from her ring and slowly put it on. Ning Cheng looked at Shi Qianghua's actions in shock, and spoke out in a trembling voice after a long while. Can you move on your own? He immediately remembered that when he and Shi Qianghua were doing it, Shi Qianghua did not seem to be in a sealed state. Cold sweat slowly trickled down Ning Cheng's forehead. Shi Qianghua definitely had the cultivation of crucible transformation realm. If such a person wanted to kill him, Ning Cheng did not dare to think about it. He secretly took out the talisman that he had used to enter the bottom of the blood river. Shi Qianghua had already put on her clothes. She glanced at Ning Cheng's hand that was secretly grabbing the talisman, and spoke out in a calm voice. After you entered my body, I can move. What you did before is equivalent to paying off Suing Day's debt. You do not have to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect again, and also do not have to look for Suing Day again. In the future, do not casually get together with other women. I thought that you wanted to sever your emotions on me, so. Ning Cheng awkwardly tried to defend himself, but this kind of explanation made him feel ashamed. At this moment he did not feel any killing intent coming from Shi Qianghua. Shi Qianghua glanced at Ning Cheng, as if she wanted to say something, but in the end she did not speak. She was Suing Day's master in name, but she was not a person from the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Moreover, she had never cultivated the cultivation methods of the Severing Emotions Dao sect. As such, she did not need to sever her emotions at all. Moreover, Suing Day's cultivation method was not taught by her, but rather by Suing Day's grandmother. When she went to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect for Suing Day's marriage, she also did not take the initiative to go, rather someone had ordered her to go. She put away the bedsheet that was stained with a bright red color, and calmly walked out. Looking at the white figure getting further and further away, Ning Cheng suddenly felt a strong sense of loss in his heart. He chased after her outside, but Shi Qianghua's figure had already disappeared. Even his spiritual consciousness could not sweep her out. Looking at the endless wilderness, Ning Cheng felt a kind of torment and a deep sense of melancholy. He felt as if he had done something wrong. This mistake was not because he forced himself on Shi Qianghua, but because when Shi Qianghua left, he did not even say a single word. Ning Cheng returned to his residence, and found that the place that Shi Qianghua had found was a temporary immortal cave. Even now, Ning Cheng could not understand why Shi Qianghua wanted to save him, when he had forcibly violated her. Why did she not kill him? Shi Qianghua had said that it was for Su Yingdai's debt, but the last sentence was to tell him not to casually approach other women. Since it had nothing to do with him, then why did she have to remind him? Ningqing sighed. Before he had done it with Shi Qianghua, he did not think much about it. But after Shi Qianghua turned into his woman, he found that he could not forget her. If Shi Qianghua tried to sever her emotions at this time, he would definitely not be able to escape. He would even be willing to be cut by her sword. The impression and feelings that he had with Su Yingdai for such a long time, unexpectedly, was not even a 10,000th of the time that he and Shi Qianghua had spent together. Even during this time, he was still in a coma. After sitting in the cave for a long time, Ningqing put away everything in the immortal cave, including Shi Qianghua's torn clothes, before turning around and leaving the place where he had lost his first time. He wanted to find a place to advance to the Soul Essence realm, and then make a trip to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Not to mention that the Heavenly Cusp Flower might be in the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Even if it was for Shi Qianghua, he still wanted to inquire about it. As for Su Yingdai, Ningqing had long since erased her memories. Su Yingdai had used him to sever her emotions. Presumably she had already advanced to the soul sculpting realm. As such, he no longer owed her anything. Chapter 325. Ningqing had already walked far away, before he finally stopped and looked back at the temporary immortal cave that Shi Qianghua had dug out. Even though he had already used a concealment array to completely conceal the cave, he still felt a little upset. Unfortunately, he was still unable to move the mountain with his current abilities. Even if he could move it away, his small world was still too small. He was a nostalgic person. Even if he used his entire life, he might not be able to forget what had happened here. After a long time, Ningqing finally turned around. Unbeknownst to him, a woman in a white dress was already standing not far in front of him. She was like a beautiful scenery, the hem of her dress fluttering in the wind. Ningqing did not know when this scenery suddenly appeared, but his heart was pounding fiercely. At this moment, he was really eager to see Shi Qianghua again. But he did not expect that Shi Qianghua would actually return, and even return to this place. People's thoughts were very strange. Previously, when Ningqing found out that he had taken advantage of Shi Qianghua, and Shi Qianghua had regained her ability to move, the first thing he did was to take out the talisman and prepare to escape. But Shi Qianghua did not kill him, and silently walked out of the immortal cave, causing Ningqing to be at a loss as to what to do. At this moment, he once again saw Shi Qianghua, but he did not take out the talisman. He also forgot that Shi Qianghua could kill him in seconds. He did not even know how he arrived in front of Shi Qianghua. He looked at Shi Qianghua's delicate and pretty face, and did not know what to say. In his mind, an image of himself taking Shi Qianghua and Ji Luofei to roam the horizon, bringing them back to Jiangzhou, and then holding a grand wedding in Jiangzhou. When he saw the happy smile on his sister Rulin's face, he suddenly felt extremely satisfied. At this moment, he was completely immersed in this wonderful feeling. Not knowing for how long, Shi Qianghua, who had been staring at Ningqing, suddenly spoke up. "Why didn't you take the escape talisman with you this time?" Ningqing suddenly woke up. The longing in his eyes slowly disappeared. He shook his head and did not speak. If Shi Qianghua wanted to kill him at this moment, then even if he could walk away, he did not intend to do so. Although he was killed by Shi Qianghua, he did not have any resentment. The two of them fell silent again. A gentle breeze blew between the two of them as they stood there quietly. There was silence, but it didn't feel like that kind of silence. After a long time, Shi Qianghua once again spoke up. "That 9-colored mirage stone of yours, can you give it to me?" Ningqing felt very guilty in his heart, but he did not know what to say. There were some things that could not be resolved with just an apology. At this time, when Shi Qianghua spoke about the 9-colored mirage stone, Ningqing did not even think about it, as he took out a jade box and handed it to Shi Qianghua. "This is the 9-colored mirage stone." Shi Qianghua was slightly surprised as she received the jade box. She knew about Ningqing. Although Ningqing was different from many cultivators, he was very kind. However, he was not a good person who would give things to others casually. The last time he escaped from the Heavenly Dao public square, It was because someone wanted to steal his things. Such a precious thing. Why didn't you ask about the remuneration before giving it to me? Shi Qianghua looked at Ningqing in doubt. Ningqing once again shook his head. In my eyes, even if all the mirage stones in the entire universe were to be added up, it would still not be able to compare to your sorrow. If the mirage stones, or even killing me, could make you happy, then I would not have even half a shred of regret. There are some things that cannot be described with just an apology. Ningqing was not an expert in love, but he came from Earth. As such, these words came out of his mouth. It was just that he was used to it. But these words were indeed from the bottom of his heart. He felt that he really owed Shi Qianghua. The debt of a disciple was repaid by a master. In the depths of Ningqing's heart, it did not make any sense at all. However, Shi Qianghua had never heard such words of love before, causing her eyes to soften. She stared at Ningqing and spoke in a soft voice after a good while. That is what I was willing to do. If I was not willing, then you would not have been able to do it. Shi Qianghua was not talking nonsense. The moment Ningqing entered her body, she had already recovered her strength. At that time, she could have killed Ningqing at any time. But she did not. Not only did she not, but instead allowed Ningqing to run wild in her body. Ningqing opened his mouth, but when the words were about to come out, he swallowed them back down. Shi Qianghua looked at the jade box in her hands, as she calmly looked at Ningqing and asked, "You want to ask me why did I save you? Why did I let you do this?" Ningqing spoke in a dry voice, "Yes." Shi Qianghua was kind, but she would not use her body to save him. He and Shi Qianghua really did not have such a good relationship. To be exact, the last time Shi Qianghua had saved him, it was the first time he had seen Shi Qianghua. Shi Qianghua did not speak, but once again walked towards the immortal cave that Ningqing had just left. As she threw out several array flags, the immortal cave that Ningqing had concealed with an array formation once again opened up a passage. Ningqing knew that since Shi Qianghua had come here, then she definitely had something to say. He did not think that Shi Qianghua's attainments in array formations would be so high, to the point that it was even more powerful than him. Looking at the house that Ningqing had cleaned up, Shi Qianghua was slightly sluggish for a moment. But then she immediately recovered her calmness, while simultaneously taking out a jade table and 2 chairs. Seeing Shi Qianghua sit down, Ningqing also sat down. He had been waiting for Shi Qianghua to tell him the reason. "I'm leaving." Shi Qianghua spoke in a slow voice. Ningqing was not surprised. Shi Qianghua definitely wanted to go back to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. He had originally planned to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. "I'm also planning to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect." Ningqing did not conceal it. Shi Qianghua's figure was getting deeper and deeper in his heart, to the point that she had already occupied the same position as Ji Luofei. Even he himself did not understand what was going on. However, he knew in his heart that this was not right. He already had Ji Luofei. As such, he could not think about Shi Qianghua anymore. However, he found that he really could not ignore the things that had happened. He was simply unable to forget these things. Shi Qianghua shook her head. "I told you you cannot go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect, nor can you look for Suing Day." Ningqing took a deep breath, as he looked at Shi Qianghua and spoke. "I am not looking for Suing Day. I have never really been moved by her. Why would I want to look for her? She saved me, and I have already returned the favor to her. The reason I am going to the Severing Emotions Dao sect is to look for you." Looking at Shi Qianghua, Ningqing once again slowly took in a deep breath. "I think I will never be able to forget you in my life, whether you care about me or not." "I heard that you have a fiancé?" Shi Qianghua's tone was very calm. Ningqing nodded. "She is called Ji Luofei. She is not my fiancé, but my wife." After a slight pause, Ningqing once again spoke out one word at a time. "In my eyes you are now the same as Ji Luofei, although in your eyes, I am just a profound core ant." Shi Qianghua did not directly answer Ningqing's words, as she looked at the entrance of the immortal cave and spoke. "When I said that I wanted to go, it was not to return to the Severing Emotions Dao sect, but to leave the Yixing mainland forever. Or perhaps I will never have the chance to live. So I came back to tell you, do not go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect." "You want to go to Heaven's Way?" Ningqing asked in shock. His thoughts changed very quickly. He could even guess why Shi Qianghua wanted to save him. Shi Qianghua had such a high cultivation. Yet she spoke such words, and even asked him for a mirage stone. If it was not to go to Heaven's Way, then where else could she go? Shi Qianghua spoke in a dull tone. Yes, I want to go to Heaven's Way. One of the reasons why I saved you is because of the matter between you and Suing Day. I had already intervened in it. I am proficient in the art of divination, and I had even divined that you are a kind person. This time's matter, I am also partly responsible for it. I was also affected by the interference of Suing Day's burning desire. As such, the resistance was not very resolute. You cultivated in a small domain, causing your body to be burnt by the yang qi, and also cultivated the embracing yang god tactic, coupled with Suing Day's burning desire. At that time, you were still able to find an excuse for yourself. So I did not blame you, and even tacitly agreed with you. I understand the embracing yang god tactic. The embracing yang god tactic was not created by Yan Fenghua alone. Rather, it is an ancient body-forging cultivation method. Even Suing Day's grandmother is not clear about this matter. Ningqing looked at Shi Qianghua in amazement. Shi Qianghua came from the Severing Emotions Dao sect. It was reasonable to say that she should be a junior of Suing Day's grandmother. Even Suing Day's grandmother did not know about it, so how did Shi Qianghua come to know about it? Shi Qianghua did not care about Ningqing's amazement, and still spoke. I only came to know about the embracing yang god tactic after I got together with you. The embracing yang god tactic cannot really resolve the burning desire in your body, although it looks like it is temporarily suppressed, but the next time it flares up, it would be even more terrifying. Until you are completely burnt to ashes by the burning desire. The Severing Emotions Dao sect's burning desire can only be resolved by a 9 reincarnated purine body, and I happen to possess a 9 reincarnated purine body. Ningqing came to know that Shi Qianghua had tacitly agreed with him, in order to save him. There was a kind of indescribable thing flowing in his heart, but at the same time he was also angry at Suing Day's ruthlessness. Why was the master so kind, while the disciple was so disgusting? The second reason why I saved you is because I originally came here to ask you for help. I want to go to Heaven's Way, and only the 9-colored mirage stone can give me a chance to survive. After you left the Heavenly Dao Public Square, I lost track of you. It was not until a few days ago, when I sensed Suing Day's position, that I was able to find you. As Shi Qianghua finished, she gave out a slight sigh. She did not know what was going on in her mind, but she unexpectedly somewhat cared about Ningqing, thinking that she had saved him entirely for the sake of the mirage stone. Can you wait until you go to Heaven's Way? Or wait until you are above the crucible transformation realm? Ningqing hesitated for a long time before speaking. Shi Qianghua was silent for a long time, before she spoke up. I only have a year of lifespan at most. I can no longer wait. What? Ningqing asked in shock. Shi Qianghua looked so young. How could she only have a year of lifespan? Wasn't it said that after reaching the crucible transformation realm, one's lifespan would be very long? Since Shi Qianghua had already spoken about it, she also did not intend to hide it from Ningqing. When I started cultivating, a cultivation method automatically appeared in my consciousness. The cultivation method that I cultivate is not from the Severing Emotions Dao sect. It is not even from the Yixing mainland, but it is countless times stronger than the Severing Emotions Dao sect's Severing Emotions cultivation method. You will come to know in the future that this is a kind of reincarnation inheritance. Because my spiritual soul is very powerful, it ended up being targeted by a powerhouse, causing her to suppress a part of my spiritual soul. Ningqing suddenly stood up, as he angrily interrupted Shi Qianghua's words and asked, "Who?" Under Ningqing's anger, Shi Qianghua unexpectedly became somewhat absent-minded, as she subconsciously replied, "Suanjin." Chapter 326. Suanjin is Suing Day's grandmother, and is also the person with the highest cultivation in the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Even in the entire Yixing mainland, I am afraid that there is no one with a higher cultivation than her. Shi Qianghua's tone was calm, and one could not hear any hatred in it. However, Ning Cheng was able to hear the sadness hidden deep within her heart from her words. When he understood the meaning behind Shi Qionghua's words, and came to know that Su Anjin was Su Yingdai's grandmother, Ning Cheng was immediately stunned. Shi Qionghu was a person from the Severing Emotions Dao sect, and was also Su Yingdai's master, so why would Su Yingdai's grandmother want to suppress Shi Qionghua's spiritual soul? Was it because Shi Qionghu did not cultivate the cultivation methods of the Severing Emotions Dao sect? I do not cultivate the cultivation method of the Severing Emotions Dao sect, so strictly speaking, I am also not a person of the Severing Emotions Dao sect. The reason why I am in the Severing Emotions Dao sect is because a part of my life essence was suppressed by Su Anjin. As such, I do not have even half a shred of ability to resist. I have helped the Severing Emotions Dao sect with many things over the years, so no matter where Su Yingdai goes, I will always protect her. As Shi Qionghu spoke till here, she was somewhat distracted, and after a while she continued. Rather than saying that I am Yingdai's master, it would be better to say that I am her guardian. Although Su Anjin's cultivation was extremely high, her soul was injured. Moreover, the damage to her corporeal body was also very severe. As such, her attacks were also affected. My primordial spirit is powerful and pure. She suppressed my primordial spirit because she wanted to use it for herself. Once she recovers to a certain extent, she would then devour that part of my life essence, and then take control of me to return to the Severing Emotions Dao sect, to become her tonic, to perfect her life essence. With her ability, she should be able to devour my suppressed primordial spirit in about a year. If she can find something like the geocentric 9 in essence, then perhaps it would only take half a year or even less. This old pious woman. Even if Ning Cheng's mind had already calmed down, he still could not help but curse out loud. He had initially thought that Shi Qionghua's lifespan had truly come to an end, but it turned out that her life essence was suppressed by that old thing Su Anjin, who even wanted to devour Shi Qionghua's life essence. Shi Qionghu calmly spoke. She doesn't look old. Indeed, like ancestor, like seed. I almost fell in love with Su Yingdai, damn it. Ning Cheng cursed, while at the same time blushed with shame for his own temperament. Even if his cultivation was only at the profound core realm, he absolutely had to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect and steal the suppressed part of Shi Qionghua's life essence. When Shi Qionghu heard Ning Cheng's words, she shook her head and spoke. Su Yingdai will not dual cultivate with you. Even if you are moved by her, it would still be useless. I've had her for 20 years, and no one knows her better than I do. But that morning, she took off all her clothes and came to my bed. If not for Yin Kongchan's interruption, we would have already entered into dual cultivation. Ning Cheng spoke in doubt. Shi Qionghu took out a jade strip and placed it in front of Ning Cheng. The Severing Emotions Dao sect wants to sever their emotions, so if they meet a person with a firm will, then they would definitely use the intertwining emotions silk. You will unknowingly be infected by her. And even the smaller the matter, the deeper the infection will be. This was the jade slip containing the entanglement silk cultivation method. It was not easy to cultivate this cultivation method. However, after successfully cultivating it, one would not be able to sense it when using it, and it would not require any magic power fluctuations. As long as she reveals even a little bit of something that makes you excited, whether it be words or skin movements, or even the aura of the entire body, or even the smell of the body, it would be able to infect your desires. Ning Cheng immediately recalled the 2 times when he and Su Yingdai had made love. It seemed that there was a fragrance that he had not noticed before, as well as Su Yingdai's inadvertent exposure of her skin. It turned out that he had unknowingly fallen for Su Yingdai's entanglement silk, and did not even know about it. No wonder that even though he was facing Yin Kongchan, who was not even half a bit worse than Su Yingdai, he did not feel even the slightest bit of emotion. Why did this woman not go to a brothel? You did not let me go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect, because you knew that I would not be able to come back, right? Ning Cheng finally understood the meaning of Shi Qionghua's words. Shi Qionghu did not want him to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect, not because of Su Yingdai, but because of him. Shi Qionghu, seeing that Ning Cheng understood her meaning, also did not conceal it and spoke. Yes, if you go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect, then you would only end up in a situation where there is no chance of survival. there is simply no chance of survival. Fortunately, I did not give the Mirage Tree and the geocentric 9 essence to Su Yingde, otherwise wouldn't it have harmed you even more? Ningqing spoke out in a joyful voice. Su Yingde had initially asked him for this kind of thing, but fortunately he had not given it to her. Do you really have a Mirage Tree? Shi Qianghua asked. She was already numb to Ningqing's various secrets. She also had a lot of secrets, but compared to Ningqing, her secrets were simply not secrets at all. At best, she had a reincarnated inheritance. Yes, I have a 9-colored Mirage Tree. If you have any use for it, then I can give it to you. Ningqing spoke without hesitation. Shi Qianghua looked at Ningqing's indifferent eyes, causing her heart to jump slightly. Although her cultivation was high, but she had always cultivated under the pressure of the cracks and threats. Otherwise, with her inheritance and qualifications, she would have been able to reach a much higher height than she was now. She did not have any friends, nor did she have any sisters, nor was she particularly happy. Every time she came out of seclusion, the thing she liked to do the most was to silently go to some ordinary cities to help the poor. However, she had never enjoyed the help of others, nor had she ever thought of getting help from others. This time, when she asked Ningqing for the Mirage Stones, although it was not planned, but when it really happened, she would rather use her own body to save Ningqing in return, rather than kill Ningqing and rob him. At this time, Ningqing suddenly said that he wanted to give the Mirage Tree to her, causing her to be somewhat absent-minded. It was only after a while that she recovered and spoke. No, the Mirage Tree is very good, but my cultivation is still too low. But that Su Anjin really can use the Mirage Tree. Ningqing secretly thanked Yin Kongchan for taking away his ring. If not for Yin Kongchan taking away his ring, how could Su Yingde finally let go of his miniature world ring? Is the geocentric 9 essence useful to you? Ningqing once again took out a jade bottle. A bone-chilling aura instantly surrounded the immortal cave. Shi Qianghua immediately knew that this was indeed the geocentric 9 essence. This is useful to me, but it is not very useful. My life essence is being suppressed by Su Anjin. As long as that trace of life essence is suppressed by her, then I would always be under her control. Going to the Heaven's Way is just a helpless move on my part. Even if I do not die after entering the Heaven's Way, I might still be suppressed by her. Shi Qianghua shook her head and pushed the geocentric 9 essence back to Ningqing. Ningqing once again pushed the bottle of geocentric 9 essence back to Shi Qianghua and spoke. Senior apprentice Sister Qianghua, you can take it, I have 2 bottles. Shi Qianghua hesitated for a moment before she took out a jade bottle and poured a third of the contents from Ningqing's bottle, before she returned the remaining 2/3 to Ningqing and spoke. This thing is extremely precious. Moreover, it is extremely difficult to obtain. I already have this much, you can keep the rest for yourself. Ningqing did not push it anymore. After putting away the things, he also did not speak again. He was thinking about how to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect and retrieve the trace of life essence that was suppressed by Shi Qianghua. Seeing Ningqing remain silent, Shi Qianghua took out a white jade bracelet and handed it to Ningqing and spoke. This is what my mother left for me. Give it to little sister Luofei. Ningqing received the bracelet in surprise and spoke. Senior apprentice Sister Qianghua, you don't blame me? Shi Qianghua showed a faint smile and spoke. I never blamed you. Ningqing looked at Shi Qianghua in a daze. He had never seen such a beautiful smile before. Shi Qianghua stood up. She had once again come back, and after talking to Ningqing about these things, she suddenly felt a lot more comfortable in her heart. I'm leaving, don't think too much about it. Shi Qianghua's figure was a lot more relaxed this time as she walked out. Ningqing could feel that Shi Qianghua was determined to leave. As such, he did not urge her to stay, and just silently watched Shi Qianghua leave. In any case, he had to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect and retrieve the trace of life essence that was suppressed by Shi Qianghua. This kind of thing, even if he knew that he would die, he still had to go. He also did not tell Shi Qianghua. He knew that even if he said it, Shi Qianghua would never let him go. Moreover, it would only make her worry. If he died, then Shi Qianghua would not know about it, as if nothing had happened. Luofei had that white-haired old woman to take care of her. Moreover, he had specifically asked elder sister Xu. So elder sister Shu would definitely find Luofei. With elder sister Shu's ability, Luofei would definitely not suffer. Other than Luofei, there was no one else worthy of his attention. This time Ningcheng did not continue to leave this place. After he finished arranging the array formations outside, he directly arranged a spiritual gathering array formation and began cultivating. Ningcheng's cultivation had already loosened up, but now that he had started cultivating, in just half a month, he had already rushed to the great circle of the profound core realm. In order to avoid the thunder tribulation from turning his and Shi Qionghua's residence into slag, Ningcheng put away all the things here, and once again hid the immortal cave. He was ready to look for a place to cross the tribulation, and advanced to the soul essence realm. 3 days later, Ningcheng stopped in an empty field. After checking that there was no one nearby, Ningcheng began to arrange a large spiritual gathering array. Tens of millions of spirit stones were piled up by Ningcheng in the middle of the spiritual gathering array, just like a small hill. Ningcheng had just reached the great circle of the profound core realm. Although his foundation was not shallow, but he could not be like Su Yingde, who had severed her emotions to advance, who could attract the thunder tribulation at any time. After cultivating for another week, Ningcheng finally swallowed the soul-condensing pill. The powerful spiritual qi from the pill and the rich spiritual qi from the spiritual gathering array converged together, just like a long spiritual qi dragon. In just a twinkling of an eye it rushed through the meridians of Ningcheng's body, directly rushing towards the barrier of the soul essence realm. Unlike the previous advancements, this was the first time that Ningcheng had felt the barrier of his cultivation. It was just like a huge door. Normally he would not even be able to touch it, but now with the combination of the soul-condensing pill and the rich spiritual qi, it directly rushed to the top. Boom! A roaring sound resounded in his sea of consciousness, as if an iron awl had struck Ningcheng's heart. Ningcheng, who was feeling extremely uncomfortable, immediately spurted out a mouthful of blood on the spot. This bombardment had indeed struck the door of the cultivation barrier. But the door of the cultivation barrier only trembled a bit, before it once again returned to its original state. It made Ningcheng think of using an egg to smash a stone. What he was doing now was exactly the same as using an egg to smash a stone. Ningcheng's heart sank. If he continued to attack his cultivation in this way, then relying on this soul-condensing pill, he absolutely would not be able to advance to the soul essence realm. He was also aware that advancing to the soul essence realm would result in a thunder tribulation. For this reason he had deliberately worn a set of armor. But this first impact, even the door of the cultivation barrier could not shake. If such a thunder tribulation were to descend, then it would truly be a strange thing. No, he absolutely had to take advantage of this opportunity to attack the soul essence realm. Only then would he be able to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Otherwise his chances of survival would be even slimmer. After understanding this point, Ningcheng seemed to have gone crazy. Countless amounts of spiritual qi were being sucked into him, while simultaneously transforming into spiritual qi and true essence. Combined with the medicinal properties of the soul-condensing pill, he bombarded the cultivation barrier again and again. This kind of bombardment, even if it was just once, was enough to make Ningcheng feel uncomfortable to the point of vomiting blood. Not to mention continuously bombarding it. Chapter 327. Ningcheng continuously spurted out a few mouthfuls of blood, but the impact on the soul essence cultivation barrier was getting weaker and weaker. Ningcheng felt anxious in his heart. He already knew that even with these tens of millions of spirit stones, as well as the soul-condensing pill that he had just swallowed, it was simply impossible for him to advance to the soul essence realm. It was not that his things were not good, nor was it because he was not well prepared, but the resources that he needed to advance were simply too abnormal. The next time he wanted to advance to the soul-sculpting realm, he absolutely could not rely on just a single pill. Ningcheng was determined to advance to the soul essence realm, but now that he did not have enough resources, he did not even think about it, and directly took out the broken crystal stone that the old fogey had given him. When the crystal stone fell into his hands, he did not even need to absorb it, as an incomparably pure and rich aura directly rushed into his meridians, breaking through all obstacles. before exploding on the soul essence cultivation barrier. With just this one attack, a crack immediately appeared on the cultivation barrier. Such a powerful crystal stone. Ningcheng was secretly amazed, as he desperately tried to absorb the broken crystal stone, and continuously used it to attack the cultivation barrier. Kaka. An even bigger crack appeared. Ningcheng knew that he had opened a small crack on the door to the soul essence cultivation barrier. Boom boom boom. An incomparably loud roar resounded above his head. There was simply no warning, as 9 thick lightning bolts descended. Each lightning bolt was no thinner than a baby's arm. Ningcheng had not crossed the thunder tribulation. As such, he did not know how powerful the thunder tribulation for the profound core realm to advance to the soul essence realm was, but he had seen a lot of jade strips, and had also heard a lot of experiences. He knew that advancing from the profound core realm to the soul essence realm was a 4 and 9 thunder tribulation, and was also the first thunder tribulation that a cultivator would have to experience. The 4 and 9 thunder tribulation was equivalent to 36 tribulation lightning arcs descending. As long as he could block these 36 tribulation lightning arcs, he would have the opportunity to advance to the soul essence realm. What Ningcheng did not expect was that his first wave of tribulation lightning would be so terrifying. As 9 tribulation lightning arcs the thickness of a baby's arm descended. These tribulation lightning arcs had not yet fallen on his body, but he could already feel an astonishing tearing force. This kind of destructive aura almost made Ningcheng suffocate. Ningcheng did not dare to hesitate for even half a moment, as he threw the broken crystal stone into his ring, bringing out the cosmic true devil axe and bringing out his profound break spear, while the true essence in his body surged to form a true essence shield. Boom ka, boom ka. The thunderbolt exploded onto Ningcheng's profound break spear, causing Ningcheng's profound break spear to turn into tofu dregs, before it was completely torn apart. After the cosmic true devil axe blocked the 2 thunder tribulations, it was directly blasted back several hundred feet. Not good. Ningcheng felt anxious in his heart, as he raised his hands and punched out a few times in succession. The formidable axe intent was thoroughly blasted out by his fists, causing an axe-line fist shadow to form in front of him. Pung Pung Fist Axe's axe-line fist shadow bombarded the tribulation thunder arcs, causing 3 of the tribulation thunder arcs to dissipate a bit, while his fist was like a piece of fragile firewood, as it broke apart with a catcha sound. The remaining lightning arcs almost at the same time tore apart the true essence shield covering Ningcheng's body. As for the armor covering Ningcheng's body, it was as if it was made of paper. Kaka. Sounds of bones breaking erupted, mixed with blood splattering everywhere. The powerful power of the thunder tribulation blasted a huge crater into the ground where Ningcheng stood. Ningcheng's heart sank, as the threat of death welled up in his heart. He knew that he had not only underestimated the thunder tribulation, but he had also underestimated it by a large margin. He remembered a dream that he had once had, where he had turned to ashes under the power of the thunder tribulation. He had never thought that it would turn out to be true. This was only the first wave of tribulation thunder arcs, and he was already unable to avoid it. As for the later waves, there was no need to say anything about it. This kind of terrifying tribulation thunder arcs, even if he was fully prepared, he would not be able to cross it. The tribulation thunder arcs quickly tore through Ningcheng's body, and in just a short time, Ningcheng's bones started to crack inch by inch, causing him to basically lose the ability to resist. Ningcheng on the contrary calmed down. In any case he could not cross it. Thinking about other things would be in vain. After calming down, Ningcheng thought of the embracing Yang God tactic, which was a body-forging cultivation method. At this time he was seriously injured to the point that he could not be more seriously injured. Could he use the embracing Yang God tactic to absorb the lightning arcs to temper his body? What made Ningcheng pleasantly surprised was that the embracing Yang God tactic really worked. After those lightning arcs bombarded his body, it was originally wreaking havoc on his bones and corporeal body, but the embracing Yang God tactic actually turned this kind of destruction into a condensed corporeal body. As long as he continued to operate the embracing Yang God tactic, the power of this tribulation thunder would directly begin to temper his corporeal body. Not only that, he could even feel that his own cultivation was progressing under the influence of this thunder source. If they could live, then no one would be willing to die. Ning Cheng was the same. At this moment, the embracing young god tactic crazily revolved, causing the lightning arcs that were tearing through Ning Cheng's body to instantly transform into a thunder source and be absorbed. Ning Cheng struggled to take out a few healing pills and swallowed them down, while at the same time he also took out the essence-birthing bamboo pith and poured it into his mouth. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, he did not want to give up. His body was rapidly recovering, his cultivation was also slowly increasing, while his corporeal body was also rapidly condensing. Even Ning Cheng's embracing young god tactic, under the influence of the mysterious yellow formless, it allowed him to absorb the thunder source at a much faster rate, allowing his cultivation to progress even more rapidly. But even with this, it was still too slow. Thunder once again resounded in the sky, and when several blue-colored lightning arcs fell down, Ning Cheng's heart had already sunk to the bottom of the valley. He found a sluice gate at the side of a lake filled with water, and began to release the water. Unfortunately, the speed at which he released the water was too slow, as the water gushing in would soon burst the lake once again. But his current thunder tribulation was in such a situation. He had a method to absorb the thunder source, but compared to the terrifying thunder tribulation, this method was simply a drop in the bucket. Not to mention resisting the next wave of thunder tribulation. Even with his heavily injured body, he had only recovered a little. Boom boom boom. Another 9 lightning arcs fell one after another. Ning Cheng suddenly felt his Zifu shaking in despair. It was the everlasting Blue Thunder City. Ning Cheng immediately thought of the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, and did not have the time to think about it. He immediately stimulated the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort to go out and resist the lightning arcs. At this time, Ning Cheng was already equivalent to a half-step into the soul essence realm, with a formidable spiritual consciousness, coupled with the fact that he had been refining the everlasting Blue Thunder City. This crazy activation actually blasted out a cyan lightning city shadow. He did not really bring out the levelless Blue Thunder City. Rather, he only brought out the shadow of the everlasting Blue Thunder City. This shadow was several times clearer than the shadow of the everlasting Blue Thunder City that he had previously brought out, and he could even see the outline of the Thunder City. Ka ka ka. The 9 lightning arcs completely fell on the cyan shadow of the Thunder City. A huge roaring sound resounded, as the first 5 lightning arcs were directly absorbed by the cyan shadow of the Thunder City, just like mud falling into the sea, disappearing without a trace. When the 6th and 7th shadow bombarded the cyan shadow of the Thunder City, Ning Cheng felt a sharp pain in his sea of consciousness, as the cyan shadow of the Thunder City was instantly smashed into slag by the lightning arcs. The 8th and 9th cyan lightning arcs once again bombarded Ning Cheng's body. After experiencing the baptism of the first wave of the thunder tribulation, Ning Cheng was no longer as flustered as before. He stimulated his true essence and his axe fist to strike the 2 lightning arcs. Although he was not able to completely disperse the lightning arcs, but he was able to guide the embracing young god tactic to absorb the lightning arcs. Although he was already injured, but Ning Cheng's mood was no longer the despair he had after the first wave of the thunder tribulation. At least he now had a way to cross the tribulation. The next moment, Ning Cheng had already received the cosmic true devil axe. Under the influence of the embracing young god tactic, his corporeal body was constantly being condensed. Ning Cheng himself could feel that his corporeal body was constantly being strengthened, and his ability to resist the tribulation lightning arcs was also constantly increasing. He had once thought that his biggest harvest from entering the Forsaken Land was that unknown iron rod, but now Ning Cheng knew that his biggest harvest from entering the Forsaken Land turned out to be the embracing young god tactic. He had not used the embracing young god tactic in the Forsaken Land, but he had used it when he was crossing the tribulation. Not only did he use it, but it also became his life-saving unique skill. Boom boom boom, explosions resounded once again. Ning Cheng knew that this was the 3rd wave of lightning arcs descending, causing him to no longer be as nervous and worried as before. With the help of the pills and the essence-birthing bamboo pith, Ning Cheng was able to restore most of his spiritual consciousness and true essence, as he once again brought out the shadow of the everlasting Blue Thunder City. Another 9 lightning arcs descended one after another, but this time Ningcheng was already prepared. Of the 9 lightning arcs, the everlasting Blue Thunder City managed to extinguish 7 of them, while the cosmic True Devil Axe managed to extinguish 1 of them, while the remaining 1 bombarded his body, allowing him to continue to condense his corporeal body, while simultaneously enhancing his cultivation. Ningcheng could feel that with the condensation of his corporeal body, his body-forging cultivation method had even broken through some of the barriers. Unfortunately, he did not know to what extent he had advanced, as he simply did not know anything about body-forging cultivation methods. In any case, there was still the last wave of the Thunder Tribulation. As long as he could survive this last wave of the Thunder Tribulation, he would then become a genuine soul essence cultivator. Ningcheng had just thought of this, when explosions resounded above his head, as blue-colored lightning arcs descended one after another. But Ningcheng soon became dumbfounded. He saw the Thunder Tribulation, but it was not just 9 Thunder Tribulation arcs. He saw 18 Thunder Tribulation arcs with his own eyes. The Thunder Tribulation arcs quickly descended. It simply did not allow Ningcheng to continue thinking about it. Ningcheng crazily drove the shadow of the everlasting Blue Thunder City to attack. He knew that even if he went crazy, he would not be able to extinguish these 18 lightning arcs at the same time, causing his heart to once again turn cold. It seems that this Thunder Tribulation was determined to kill him. Before advancing to the Soul Essence realm, he had already made a lot of preparations. He had even asked a lot of Soul Essence cultivators. He knew that advancing to the Soul Essence realm from the Profound Core realm would require 4 out of 9 Thunder Tribulations, but now his Thunder Tribulation had already reached the level of 5 out of 9. What exactly did this mean? If one person was lying to him, then Ningcheng did not believe that all the Soul Essence cultivators were lying to him. Every time the Blue Thunder City absorbed another Thunder Tribulation, it would increase the burden on Ningcheng by a lot. When the first 2 Tribulation lightning arcs descended on the Blue Thunder City, Ningcheng knew that he could not go on like this. He had to think of a way. If each of these lightning arcs was a first-class expert, then he would only be equivalent to a third-class low hand. If he could turn these lightning arcs into third-class low hands, then he would not be afraid of them. These thoughts flashed through Ningcheng's mind in a flash, as he crazily controlled the shadow of the everlasting Blue Thunder City to move. The shadow of the everlasting Blue Thunder City, under Ningcheng's control, had just touched a Tribulation lightning arc, when it was immediately transferred away by Ningcheng. But this Tribulation lightning arc, after being absorbed by the everlasting Blue Thunder City's thunder source, still continued to descend, but compared to the original one, its power was much smaller. Chapter 328. As the 18 Tribulation Thunder arcs passed by, Ningcheng finally breathed a sigh of relief. However, this was only a gap of a few breaths, when the dense Tribulation Thunder arcs descended once again. As the 18 lightning arcs descended once again, Ningcheng was barely able to control the shadow of the Blue Thunder City, while his sea of consciousness began to feel a tearing pain. The more lightning arcs the Blue Thunder City absorbed, the more difficult it was for him to control it. However, Ningcheng was very clear in his heart. Once the shadow of the everlasting Blue Thunder City disappeared, then he would be completely finished. Without the shadow of the Blue Thunder City, under this kind of terrifying Tribulation thunder, he was nothing, and would be torn to pieces at any moment. Puff vomiting a mouthful of blood, Ningcheng felt his sea of consciousness crack open. Even if he crazily operated the embracing Yang God tactic, he still could not hold on. The 18 lightning arcs had not completely passed, when another 9 lightning arcs descended. Boom! A violent shock exploded in Ningcheng's sea of consciousness. His spiritual consciousness seemed to have strengthened several times. Even his true essence had increased exponentially. The tens of millions of spirit stones in the spiritual gathering array, at this moment, completely turned into a spiritual chi mist, which directly poured into Ningcheng's meridians. With a catch-a sound, the golden core above his core lake cracked open at this moment, forming a vague shadow of a soul essence. With his powerful true essence and spiritual consciousness, Ningcheng instantly felt relaxed. The shadow of the Blue Thunder City that was about to disappear not only did not continue to disappear, but instead became even more clear. Ningqing finally experienced what was called a glimmer of hope. He had broken through the shackles at the most critical time and advanced to the Soul Essence realm. He had heard that when one advanced to the early stages of the Soul Essence realm, the Soul Essence would be vague and almost indistinguishable. But he had just advanced to the Soul Essence realm. Yet his Soul Essence was already incomparably clear. It showed that his strength was definitely far beyond the Soul Essence cultivators of the same level. When the last 9 Tribulation Thunder arcs descended, Ningqing was completely relieved, with his cultivation at the early stages of the Soul Essence realm. As long as he did not suffer too many Tribulation Thunder arcs at once, he believed that he would not die. When the 81st Lightning Arc was blocked by the everlasting Blue Thunder City, and then fell on Ningqing's body, the sky suddenly cleared up. A colorful cloud suddenly appeared over his head, and water droplets fell from the clouds like rain, directly falling on Ningqing's body. An indescribable enlightenment flooded Ningqing's mind. Ningqing's cultivation not only skyrocketed at this moment, but his life essence also quickly solidified. Moreover, his injuries were also rapidly recovering. Even the essence birthing bamboo pith was far inferior to this kind of water droplet. This kind of powerful insight, how could Ningqing let it go? His spiritual consciousness was becoming more and more mellow, while his true essence was also getting stronger, while Ningqing's magical skills and spear intent were also constantly being perfected. Bang! The enlightenment was interrupted. Ningqing found that the rainbow above his head had already disappeared. Even the water droplets that were dripping down had also disappeared. Ningqing secretly called out in his heart that it was a pity, the time was just too short. Ningqing knew that he had safely passed through the Soul Essence Thunder Tribulation, although at this time he looked battered and exhausted, with blood stains all over his body, but in his heart he was incomparably happy. As his soul essence continued to solidify, Ningqing finally understood what Yin Kongchan and Suing Day meant when they spoke about it. When one advanced to the essence soul realm and condensed a primordial spirit, one's heart would give birth to an image, or as long as one was a bit more intentional, there would be no obstacles. After another half a day passed by, Ningqing finally stood up. He examined himself. Other than growing a bit taller and his body becoming a lot stronger, the rest of his body was not much different from when he was studying in Jiangzhou. Once again feeling his spiritual consciousness and true essence, a feeling that was many times stronger than when he was at the profound core realm surged up. Finally having gained a bit of capital, Ningqing heaved a sigh of relief. Now that Jiang Jun dared to be so long-winded, he would not even need to expend any effort, as he could easily crush this guy. Not to mention a soul essence cultivator. Even if a soul sculpting cultivator came, so what? In this place, one's cultivation was equivalent to one's courage. Ningqing casted several dirt removal techniques and freshwater techniques, and after cleaning himself up, he found that his skin, under such a violent thunder tribulation, not only did it not turn black, but it instead turned even brighter and smoother. It was no wonder that the higher one's cultivation was, the longer their lifespan would be. Every time they advanced, it was equivalent to becoming younger. As such, there was no need for any youth-retaining pills. Only when one's cultivation could not keep up with their lifespan, would they gradually age, or would they need youth-retaining pills. After advancing to the soul essence realm, the first thing that Ningqing wanted to do was to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. He could indeed wait until his cultivation was higher, but he knew that according to Shi Qionghua's words, Su Anjin would never wait until his cultivation was higher before dealing with Shi Qionghua. Shi Qionghua was also aware of this. As such, she went to the Heaven's Way in advance. What's more, even if there was no matter with Shi Qionghua, Ningqing would not wait until his cultivation was higher before going. That would take too long. In his dictionary there was no such thing as a gentleman taking revenge. Even if 10 years was not too late, for him to take revenge was to seize every moment. Ningqing was not an idiot. He was very clear that if he went to the Severing Emotions Dao sect like this, then he would truly be an idiot. It would not be like going to his master Qianghua to retrieve the suppressed part of her life essence, nor would it be like stealing the heavenly cusp flower, but rather to die, to deliver things to others. Compared to the Severing Emotions Dao sect, it was like a child pitting himself against a strong man. Even if his concealment cultivation method was better, even if he tried to sneak around, if he went there without any preparation, it would only be a dead end. Although he was prepared to die, but he absolutely did not want to die. Compared to the cultivators here, Ningqing cherished his own life even more. His fists were far from being comparable to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. He could only use his head to find the right time and place, only then would he have a little chance. In the Battle of the Fei River, Xie Xian only had 80,000 people, but he was able to kill Fu Jian's 800,000 people. It was not because of the size of his fists, but because of the size of his head. What's more, he did not believe that he would not be able to calculate it. After experiencing Su Yingde severing her emotions, after experiencing Shi Qianghua sacrificing herself, Ningcheng was no longer the Ningcheng of the past. He could choose not to harm others, but in this place, it was not enough to rely on not harming others, because someone would definitely come looking for him. When someone blasted him with their fists, his fists would not shrink back. Even if it shrank a bit, it would be more powerful to blast back. This time the Severing Emotions Dao sect took the initiative to provoke him. As such, he would not be polite. Do you think that the Severing Emotions Dao sect would look for someone to sever their emotions? Shady people. I can also do it, it's just that I disdain to do it. After advancing to the Soul Essence realm, Ningqing looked for a place with slightly rich spiritual qi, dug out an immortal cave for himself, and continued to go into seclusion. This time Ningqing was not stingy. He not only used 10 million spirit stones to arrange a spiritual gathering array, he even took out the broken crystal stone. At this time, it was not the time to be stingy. He had to once again improve his cultivation. One had to say that this broken crystal stone was incomparably heaven-defying. Ningqing did not use any pills, but with the help of the 10 million spirit stones and this crystal stone, it only took him 4 months to advance to the Soul Essence 3rd level. The broken crystal stone in his hand had also become a lot dimmer. Ningqing guessed that if he cultivated a few more times, this crystal stone would completely shatter. After advancing to the Soul Essence 3rd level, Ningqing continued to cultivate the concealment method. If he wanted to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect, then he would need the most powerful concealment method. Half a month later, Ningqing finally stopped his seclusion. It had already been 5 months since he separated from Shi Qianghua. As such, he did not have much time left. As such, it was time to take action. The Grand Peace City was definitely one of the largest true cultivator cities in the Tian continent. Even when compared to the makeshift market of the Heavenly Tao Academy's public square, the Grand Peace City was also famous. It was mainly because the location of the Grand Peace City was just too good. In the vicinity of the Grand Peace City there were 3 major academies, the Red Sun Weapon Sect, the Red Star Sword Faction and the Star Gathering Mansion. These 3 academies were among the top 10 academies of the Tian continent. And even further away, even the Heavenly Tao Academy and the Severing Emotions Dao sect would often send their disciples here in search of good things. On this day, a very ordinary cultivator arrived at the Grand Peace City. Although this cultivator looked very ordinary, but his actions were not ordinary at all. He spent more than 10 million spirit stones and a large number of precious materials, exchanging them for a lot of obscure materials at the major merchant houses, such as silver void sand, rootless stone, segmented earth. This ordinary cultivator was obviously Ningcheng. The silver void sand, rootless stone and segmented earth that he had exchanged for were all life-saving items. These materials were materials for crafting array formations. Moreover, they were also materials for crafting transmission arrays. Ningcheng's attainments in array formations had barely reached the level of a Tier 7 array formation grandmaster. As such, he could arrange a short-distance transmission array. Coupled with the fact that he was also a talisman grandmaster, he could also refine a transmission array talisman. Because of his limited cultivation, the transmission array talisman that he refined had to be accompanied by a transmission array. Without a transmission array, his transmission array talisman would simply be useless. After purchasing a large number of materials, Ningqing arrived at the Profound Light Chamber of Commerce. The Profound Light Auction House belonged to the Profound Light Chamber of Commerce. The profound light chamber of commerce was not only the largest chamber of commerce in the Grand Peace City, but it was also famous throughout the entire Tian continent. It was second only to the two major chambers of commerce, the Wind and Cloud Pavilion and the Silver Lynx. As such, there was nothing to say about their reputation. Friend, if you really want to consign it, then you can register it with me, and then sign a contract with us. You can leave the things here with us, and we will inform you of the next auction. If you want to see our treasurer, then I'm really sorry, but I can't help you here. In the face of Ning Cheng's unreasonable request, the profound light chamber of commerce's receptionist flatly refused. What a joke! If any random person wanted to see the treasurer, then why would the treasurer want to be the treasurer's treasurer? It would be better for him to handle the matter. Ning Cheng did not expect that he would not be qualified to see the treasurer, which made him feel disappointed. If he could not see the treasurer, then he would not be able to carry out his plan. This small chamber of commerce's receptionist would not be able to help him achieve the purpose he wanted. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng stood up and walked out. The receptionist, who was responsible for receiving Ning Cheng, on seeing Ning Cheng walk out, sneered. He had seen too many of these kinds of people. All of them thought that their things were treasures, and regarded themselves as some kind of character, but in the end, they only brought out a few ordinary goods. What he did not expect was that Ning Cheng suddenly opened the door and stood in front of the door and suddenly spoke in a loud voice. Since the profound light chamber of commerce is so arrogant, and is not willing to take a step forward, then it would be better if I never came here. I will go look for the Silver Lynx Chamber of Commerce. I believe that they would be very interested in my things, because they know how valuable my things are. Chapter 329. If no one came out after this shout, then Ning Cheng decided to change to another house. Although the auction would be smaller, and the risk he would have to take would increase, and the possibility of his plan failing would also increase, but he still had to do this. What's the matter? A slightly hoarse voice arrived. Ning Cheng immediately knew that this was definitely an expert from the profound light chamber of commerce, but he did not see where the person who spoke was. However, as long as someone responded, then it was a good thing. Regardless of where the other party was, Ning Cheng directly cupped his fists and spoke. I have two very precious things, and wanted to discuss them directly with the treasurer of your association. It's just that your association refused my request, and decided to sell my things as ordinary items. Oh, does this mean that you are very confident in your things? The hoarse voice showed a hint of interest. Ning Cheng spoke in a clear voice. Of course, if I did not have confidence, then I would not dare to come here to embarrass myself. Since you are so confident, then come to my place. I am the treasurer of the profound light chamber of commerce. This time the voice was even clearer. Ning Cheng already knew which room the other party was in. Ning Cheng looked back at the shop assistant who had contacted him before, with a respectful look on his face. With his head bowed, he knew that the person who spoke should not have lied to him. Ning Cheng soon saw the treasurer of the profound light chamber of commerce. This treasurer looked like he was in his 40s, with a goatee at the corners of his mouth. Ning Cheng knew that it was all an illusion. Even if he did not check the cultivation of this person, Ning Cheng, from the imposing manner of this treasurer, guessed that this person was at least in the sea-opening realm. In this room, in addition to the treasurer, there was another old man. This old man looked at Ning Cheng with interest and suddenly spoke. You just said that if the profound light chamber of commerce does not accept your things, then you can go to my Silver Lynx chamber of commerce to put them up for auction. I really am very interested in your things. Ning Cheng slightly paused. He did not think that the people from the Silver Lynx chamber of commerce would be here. For Ning Cheng, the people from the Silver Lynx chamber of commerce were here, which was even better. I want to auction two things because I did not obtain much this time. I hope to get a high price. Ning Cheng's words were not finished when he was interrupted by the goatee. My profound light chamber of commerce sells things. There is no such thing as a low price. You can talk about what your things are. I hope that your item can really correspond to what you just said. His tone was a bit cold, meaning that if Ning Cheng tried to sensationalize them, then don't blame him for being impolite. Ning Cheng calmly spoke. The first thing I want to put up for auction is 3 drops of geocentric 9 essence. What? The goatee and the old man from the Silver Lynx auction house stood up at the same time, as they stared at Ning Cheng with fiery eyes. The main reason was that Ning Cheng's words were simply too amazing. Was the geocentric 9 essence something that one could easily obtain? Even in their auction, they had never of such thing. Auction before. Auction Ning Cheng to such things, they say. Previously, when Ning Cheng said that he could take the Chamber of Commerce to the next level, it was simply a modest statement that could not be more modest. If it, then Cheng of it, they that the of Ning would the star. Of the sect, the auction would the auction. Even the Cheng to win pavilion of the Cheng. King the Cheng, I Ning also to the sect. Of it. Of it. The Ning of the Cheng of. To put the sect. Ning Cheng's eyes also revealed a trace of pride. Of course, but unfortunately I only have 3 drops. As long as we cooperate happily this time, I can even introduce my Dao companion to you. In any case, maybe there might even be a geocentric 9 essence for auction. Of course, if your profound light Chamber of Commerce really does not want to cooperate with me, then forget about it. Ning Cheng seemed to have spilled the beans, as he quickly changed the subject. The reason why he only took out 3 drops of geocentric 9 essence was because he knew that even if Su Anjin obtained these 3 drops of geocentric 9 essence, it would not be enough. The old man from the Silver Lynx Chamber of Commerce looked at Ning Cheng. He hated Ning Cheng for not going to the Silver Lynx Chamber of Commerce first. But this place was the domain of the Profound Light Chamber of Commerce. Even if he longed for it in his heart, he had no way to intervene. Can you let me see this thing first? The goatee spoke with excitement. Ning Cheng did not hesitate to take out an exquisite jade bottle and put it on the table. Once the jade bottle was taken out, a cold and threatening aura immediately dissipated. The goatee trembled as he reached out to take the jade bottle in his hands, while simultaneously opening the cap. In just a moment, he once again covered the jade bottle. This was definitely the geocentric 9 essence. He was confident that he had not seen it wrong. It really is the geocentric 9 essence. The old man from the Silver Lynx Chamber of Commerce spoke out in shock. Although Ning Cheng's cultivation was somewhat vague, but it was definitely not high. Such a young man was unexpectedly able to come up with such a peerless treasure. Since we have accepted this thing, what are your requirements? The goatee was simply reluctant to put down the jade bottle. Ning Cheng calmly spoke up. I have already said it before. I want my things to be sold at a high price, so you have to prepare a separate auction for my 2 things. Not only do you have to prepare it, but you also have to do it on a large scale, and invite the powerhouses of the major academies to come over. Only then would you be able to sell it at a high price. No problem. What is the other thing? The goatee hurriedly asked. Ning Cheng took out a small branch that was only 2 inches long and spoke. This is it. A faintly discernible aura came out from this branch. It was as if it was an illusory illusion, causing the goatee and the old man from the Silver Lynx Chamber of Commerce to feel somewhat confused. This is a branch of the 9-colored mirage tree. The old man from the Silver Lynx Chamber of Commerce was very knowledgeable. As such, he was able to recognize what Ning Cheng had taken out, causing him to speak up in an incomparably shocked voice. Ning Cheng spoke up with even more pride. That's right, this was given to me by my Dao companion. This is the other treasure that I obtained by chance. A 2-inch long branch of the 9-colored mirage tree. The goatee quickly took out a jade box, and as if it was the most precious treasure, he immediately put away the branch of the 9-colored mirage tree. At this time, his eyes could no longer be described as fiery, rather it could be described as fanatical. This is our auction house's most distinguished jade card. From now on you will be the most distinguished guest of our Profound Light auction house. These 2 things, we can absolutely carry out the auction in accordance with your requirements. If you have any requests, just tell me directly. I will definitely be able to help you. The goatee had already treated Ning Cheng like an ancestor. Ning Cheng was still young and competitive. As such, he accidentally revealed that he had obtained these things from his Dao companion. Good, I really did not come in the wrong. I only have one request. That is, I want the geocentric 9 essence and the 9-colored mirage tree to be promoted at the same time. The wider the better. Moreover, the auction will be held in a month's time. Because at that time, Everyone would know about it. Only then would I be able to sell my things at a high price. Ningqing spoke in a very high-spirited manner. The goatee patted his chest and spoke. I, Songyi, assure you that the profound light chamber of commerce will definitely be able to achieve this. Not to mention that these two things would give the profound light chamber of commerce a share of the profits. Even if there were no profits, just by auctioning these two things, it would be able to bring the profound light chamber of commerce to the next level. Are you Ningcheng? The old man from the Silver Lynx Chamber of Commerce suddenly stared at Ningcheng as he spoke. Ningcheng gave a smile. Ningcheng? That kid is not as lucky as me, he is just a profound core ant. However, I can tell you that the 9-colored mirage tree was indeed obtained from Ningcheng. As for how I obtained it, I'm sorry, I will not say it. I believe that the profound light chamber of commerce would also not ask me where I obtained it from, right? Saying that, the imposing aura coming from Ningcheng's body grew even more powerful, to the point that it was comparable to a cultivator in the soul-sculpting realm. Songyi quickly spoke up. Of course, my profound light chamber of commerce is a gold-lettered name. How could we ask our guests about such things? Even the origin and information of our guests, we are also strictly confidential. Ningcheng nodded. And that's good. Seeing Ningcheng's imposing manner, the old man from the Silver Lynx Chamber of Commerce knew that the person in front of him should not be Ningcheng. Initially at the Heavenly Tao Academy's public square, Ningcheng only had the cultivation of profound core 8th level. Even if he was a genius cultivator, it would still be impossible for him to reach the soul-sculpting realm so quickly. What's more, he was just an ordinary soul-sculpting cultivator. How could they not see his cultivation? Because the next time I come, I will be selling a longer branch of the 7-colored mirage. Someone has already promised me, so I will definitely bring it to you. So this time, although the 2-inch mirage tree is advertised, but it will not be put up for auction. Wait until I get my hands on the longer branch of the 7-colored mirage tree, then we will put it up for auction. In order to express our gratitude to the profound light chamber of commerce, for the auction of the geocentric 9-in essence, I am willing to come up with half of the commission. Ningcheng put forward another proposal. Not to mention that Ningcheng's proposal would only bring benefits to the auction. Even if it was somewhat troublesome, it was impossible for Songyi to not agree to Ningcheng's words. Many thanks to this friend. I do not know how to address this friend. Songyi spoke out in an extremely straightforward manner. Ningcheng was willing to come up with half of the commission. It was obvious that he was a forthright person. What's more, there were even more of these things coming. How could he not know how to behave? Ningcheng showed a faint smile and spoke. My surname is Keng. Good then, elder brother Keng. Shall we sign the contract now? Songyi did not know which Keng was Ningcheng's surname. The eyes of the old man from the Silver Lynx Chamber of Commerce flickered as he watched Ningcheng and Songyi sign the auction contract. He sneered in his heart. The profound light auction was indeed a big one. If not for him being here today, then it would have been a strange thing for this person surnamed Keng to be able to peacefully participate in the auction. With this kind of cultivation, daring to bring this kind of thing to the auction, it was simply courting death. What was the use of a paper contract? Ningcheng put away the contract, before he suddenly sighed and spoke. Actually, I believe in the profound light chamber of commerce. As such, it does not matter whether we sign the contract or not. How can that be? The contract must be signed. My profound light auction's credibility is first and foremost. Song Ye's eyes narrowed into a line. Ningcheng suddenly took out a crystal ball and spoke. The process of us discussing the contract, I recorded it with the crystal ball. In fact, it really does not matter whether we sign it or not. Song Yi and the old man from the Silver Lynx Chamber of Commerce discovered that they had simply underestimated Ningcheng. If the profound light chamber of commerce dared to break the contract, then the other party could just make a copy of the crystal ball, and then scatter it everywhere, causing the profound light chamber of commerce to be completely finished. What's more, if they could use the crystal ball to record it under their noses, then wouldn't it be very simple? Then I will take my leave first. I will always pay attention to the profound light chamber of commerce's publicity, Ningcheng said with a smile, before he quickly walked out. He had only started the first step of his plan. A month's time for him was already very tight. Elder brother Song, this Shuang will also take his leave. The old man, on seeing Ningqing disappear, quickly followed out. Song Yi sneered. He did not even have the time to look for someone, as he also followed out. But he was soon dumbfounded in his spiritual consciousness. Other than that person surnamed Zhuang, where was Ningqing's shadow? Moreover, when he saw that person surnamed Zhuang, he immediately knew that the other party had also lost him. Chapter 330. Ningqing was not in Great Peace City at this time. He had changed his appearance into a pale-faced noble young master dressed in grand robes. The place he was at was the West Lu market that was only a few hundred li from Great Peace City. For cultivators, a distance of several hundred miles was very close. From a certain point of view, the West Lu market existed specifically for Great Peace City. Great Peace City was prosperous and the land was unusually expensive. Many people wanted to do business in Great Peace City, but they did not have enough capital. Because of this, the West Lu Makeshift Market was born. And the West Lu Makeshift Market had many merchant houses that purchased spirit herbs and materials. Trading here was fast, and there weren't any formation arrays or restrictions on flying. Some roaming Xiao that obtained materials would rather come here to trade than go to Great Peace City. As time passed, more and more shops appeared here, giving rise to restaurants, inns, and other kinds of places. In the end, it became a marketplace without walls. This kind of open-air market could be found in any continent, but there were not many of them as big as the West Lu market. The largest spiritual tea house in the West Lu Makeshift Market was the West Lu Spiritual Tea House. The reason why many cultivators gathered here every day was not only because this place provided the most complete range of spiritual tea and spiritual wine, but also because there were all kinds of information here. Where would the mystic realms appear? Where would the treasures appear? Why would they need to form a team? Rogue cultivators would come here to gather information, and then find a team to leave with. When Ningqing came in, the lobby of the West Lu Spiritual Tea House was already filled with all kinds of cultivators. Ningqing squeezed into a place with a lot of people, and asked for a pot of very good spiritual tea. Seeing the few true condensation and essence-building realm rogue cultivators around him, Ningqing proudly waved his hand towards the waiter and said, "Meeting each other is predestined. Help these friends to get a pot of spiritual tea just like mine, and count it on me." Hearing that Ningqing wanted to treat them, several cultivators who did not know Ningqing cupped their fists and thanked him. Looking at Ningqing's luxurious robes, a cultivator dressed like a young master, he definitely came from a good place. This kind of cultivator loved the envious gazes of others, and the flattering words of others. The waiter soon brought over a few pots of spiritual tea. Under Ningqing's deliberate efforts to befriend them, the few of them quickly became familiar with each other. "I, Tong Du, really like to make friends with forthright friends like you. Many thanks to this friend's spiritual tea. These days I am a bit short on money, but the next time I am a bit more relaxed, I will definitely invite you to have a cup of tea." A horse-faced cultivator drank half of the spiritual tea from Ningqing in one gulp, before speaking out in a forthright manner. For an early-stage essence-building cultivator like him, such a pot of spiritual tea was a very good thing. The rest of the people were also like Tong Do, as they drank the spiritual tea that Ningqing treated them to, while at the same time making empty promises and compliments. Ningqing proudly spoke, "It's nothing. I like to make friends with people from all over the world. In Crimson Star, in the sect, I can be considered to be doing quite well. This bit of spirit tea is really not worth mentioning." Although Ningqing promptly changed his words, but the people around him were able to tell that Ningqing was definitely from the Red Star Sword faction. For rogue cultivators like them, even if they came from a small academy, it would be very difficult for them to join, not to mention the Red Star Sword faction, which was one of the top 10 academies of the Tian continent. For a time, the surrounding cultivators started to talk to Ningqing. It seemed that they knew that Ningqing liked to be praised by others, as all kinds of praises poured out, making Ningqing feel as if the Yellow River was overflowing. Some of the cultivators even took the initiative to take out some spiritual wine to invite Ningqing to drink, but Ningqing did not refuse any of them. along with a few pots of inferior quality spiritual wine. Ning Cheng's words also started to get louder and louder. You don't have to praise me like that. In fact, although I am quite good in the academy, but compared to others I am still far from it. It is not just 1 or 2 points. It seemed as if the wine had already hit him, as Ning Cheng stood up, raised the pot of wine and drank it down, before speaking in a tipsy voice. Do you know about the Severing Emotions Dao sect? Their academy is truly a good academy. Who can curry favor with the Severing Emotions Dao sect? Haha. My senior apprentice brother, no, this matter cannot be casually spoken about. Ning Cheng seemed to know that this kind of thing was not something that he could casually speak about, as he gave a drunken burp and sat down again. Ning Cheng had just sat down, when a few pots of spiritual wine were brought in front of him. Tong Do, who had just said that he was a bit short on money, had brought out 2 pots of spiritual wine. Moreover, it was the strongest kind of spiritual wine. As if feeling the enthusiasm of the others, Ning Cheng once again drank a pot of strong wine, before speaking in a low voice. I will tell you a piece of top-secret news. You must not casually speak about it. We will definitely not speak about it. Several heads squeezed in and spoke in a low voice. Ning Cheng had come out from a major academy. As such, they had not experienced all kinds of risks. As such, they had seen a lot of second-generation ancestors. They all had this kind of moral character, but this kind of second-generation ancestor really did know some things that they, as rogue cultivators, did not know. Let me tell you. Do you know which academy has the most popular son-in-law? It is the Severing Emotions Dao sect. You can't believe it, right? My senior apprentice brother King's Dao companion is from the Severing Emotions Dao sect. His Dao companion not only gave him the geocentric 9 essence, but also gave him a branch of the 9-colored mirage tree. You can't even think about it. Ning Cheng's words had not yet finished, when he was interrupted by countless boos. It would be strange if they believed this kind of nonsense. Some of the people had completely lost interest. They had thought that Ning Cheng was going to say something earth-shattering, but it turned out that it was just this kind of unreliable words. It was simply nonsense. The geocentric 9 essence and the branch of the 9-colored mirage tree, any one of them was one of the most precious things in the entire Yixing mainland. How could a disciple casually give it to others? You don't believe me? What I said is true. Ning Cheng, on seeing that the others did not believe him, immediately blushed, as his tone also became louder. It's not that we don't believe you, but who in the Severing Emotions Dao sect doesn't know that you have to fall in love before you can sever your emotions? Your senior apprentice brother Kung must have fallen in love with someone, and will have to sever his emotions in the future, right? Why would someone give such a thing to your senior apprentice brother? Besides, even if the Severing Emotions Dao sect had such a good thing, why would they give it to a disciple? Someone immediately spoke out in disdain. That's right, these things are so precious. Why would they give it to an ordinary disciple? The person next to him echoed. Ning Cheng retorted in a very unhappy manner. My senior apprentice brother King's Dao companion is also a core disciple in the Severing Emotions Dao sect. As long as a core disciple performs meritorious deeds, they would be able to get 1 to 3 drops of the geocentric 9 essence, as well as a branch of the 9-colored mirage tree. Right, I forgot to mention the spiritual enhancement true nectar. The Severing Emotions Dao sect also has a lot of it. A late-stage essence-building cultivator gave a smile. This friend, although you come from a major academy, and are much better than us rogue cultivators. But why did I hear that the 9-colored mirage tree and the spiritual enhancement true nectar belong to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciple Ning Cheng? Moreover, Ning Cheng is being hunted down, and has long since gone into hiding somewhere unknown. Huh. The surrounding people burst into laughter. Ning Cheng stood up in anger. You simply do not know. This kind of thing is only known to the disciples of our major academies. These things indeed belong to Ning Cheng, however, they now belong to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Don't not believe it. Senior apprentice brother Kung had already told me. The Severing Emotions Dao sect's true inheriting disciple Suing Dai successfully severed her emotions on Ning Cheng's body. Ning Cheng's emotions were severed. Of course he was crippled, but his things were not crippled. Seeing the dumbfounded expressions of the surrounding people, Ning Cheng became even more proud. You don't know about this news, do you? Hee, not to mention you. Even some of the major academies do not know about it. Senior apprentice brother Kung only came to know about it because he has a Dao companion who is a core disciple of the Severing Emotions Dao sect. After Ning Cheng's things were taken away by the Severing Emotions Dao sect, the Severing Emotions Dao sect, according to the contributions of each disciple, these things were then rewarded to the disciples of the academy. That is absolutely impossible. Do you know how precious these two things are? Someone once again refuted, but this time after he refuted, no one immediately stood up to support him. Ning Qing looked at the rebuttal cultivator with disdain and spoke. Do you know how much geocentric 9 essence Ning Qing has? He has a full 100 barrels. Do you know how big a barrel is? Even if I told you, you would not know. Do you know how big a 9-colored mirage tree is? I estimate that you would never be able to imagine it in your lifetime. If you do not believe me, then you can go to the Heavenly Dao Academy's public square and inquire about it. Ning Cheng had sold a barrel of spiritual enhancement true nectar in the exchange hall of the Heavenly Dao Academy's public square. If he had not done such a thing before, would you dare to believe that a person would be able to come up with so much spiritual enhancement true nectar? If you have not seen the world, then don't talk nonsense. If you still do not believe me, then you can go and inquire about whether Su Yingde has advanced to the soul sculpting realm or not. She successfully severed her emotions on Ning Cheng's body, and has already advanced to the soul sculpting realm. The onlookers finally became a little restless, although most of them did not believe it, but Ning Cheng's words were very convincing. Moreover, the matter of the Severing Emotions Dao sect going to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to arrange a marriage between Ning Cheng and Su Yingde was already an open secret. Then how do you know about it so clearly? Someone finally asked. Idiot, this person's senior apprentice brother King's Dao companion is a core disciple of the Severing Emotions Dao sect. This time Ning Qing did not need to answer, as someone took the initiative to help him answer. Ning Qing once again grabbed the jug of wine on the table, as he drank a few mouthfuls and spoke. I will tell you another secret. After my senior apprentice brother Kung obtained 3 drops of geocentric 9 essence, and a little branch of the 9-colored mirage tree, he entrusted the profound light chamber of commerce to auction them off. If you do not believe me, then you will know about it in a month's time. I am a dignified disciple of one of the top 10 academies. Why would I lie to people? You really make me feel very uncomfortable. As such, I don't want to make friends with you. Ning Qing muttered to himself, as he staggered out of the spiritual tea house. This person really talks nonsense. As soon as Ning Qing came out, someone immediately ridiculed him with disdain. You cannot say that he is 100% talking nonsense. At least the matter between Ning Qing and Su Yingde might be true. Just go and inquire about whether Su Yingde has advanced to the soul sculpting realm or not. Funny, what is the use of you talking about this? Even if the Severing Emotions Dao sect has such a thing, what does it have to do with us low-leveled rogue cultivators? When Ning Qing left, he felt very relieved. Even if no one in this spiritual tea house believed his words, these words would definitely spread out. What powerful, of course, were just rumors. Ning Qing came from Earth. As such, how could he not know about the fearsomeness of rumors? Even if it was a dead rumor, after a period of time, it would definitely become a living rumor. Since he had planted this seed, then it would definitely germinate. Of course, he did not need to find someone with a high cultivation level to spread this rumor. In this spiritual tea house, there were many qi gathering, true condensation and essence building cultivators. As such, it was the best choice to spread this rumor. Chapter 331. The Drifting Snow Palace's Soul Refinement Snowy Ice region was the best place for the sect's disciples to cultivate in seclusion. At this time, Yin Kongchan, wearing a pale yellow robe, came out from the entrance of the snowy domain. Compared to before, her body gave off a much more elegant feeling. Kongchan, your aura is quite distant, and your cultivation has already completely stabilized. Presumably, you would be able to advance to the soul sculpting second level in a short period of time. A middle-aged female cultivator spoke while looking at Yin Kongchan with a smile. Yin Kongchan quickly gave a respectful bow and spoke. I have troubled Fourth Palace Master to wait for such a long time. This Kongchan's advancement to the soul sculpting realm is also something that I have no other choice. This middle-aged female cultivator knew the meaning of In Kongchan's words, as she stepped forward and took In Kongchan's hand and spoke. The geocentric Nining essence has appeared. Moreover, there is also another important matter. You have to go to the hall of discussion. In Kongchan, who was originally very calm, on hearing the words geocentric Nining essence, immediately trembled. Even if she remained calm, she could not help but ask, Fourth Palace Master, did the geocentric Nining essence really appear? The middle-aged female cultivator nodded and spoke in a serious tone. Yes, not only did the geocentric Nining essence appear, but even the 9-colored mirage tree also appeared. In Kongchan immediately blurted out, what happened to Ning Cheng? The middle-aged female cultivator looked at In Kongchan's expression and spoke with a sigh. Su Yingde successfully severed her emotions on Ning Cheng's body, allowing her to reach the soul sculpting realm. Moreover, this time, the geocentric Nining essence and the 9-colored mirage tree will appear in the Grand Peace City's auction. It is estimated that all the academies are thinking about how to bid for these two things. Ning Cheng was killed? What the middle-aged female cultivator did not expect was that In Kongchan's first words were not about the geocentric Nining essence, but rather Ning Cheng. The middle-aged female cultivator did not notice that In Kongchan's tone was a bit strange, as she gave a dignified nod and spoke. Su Yingde successfully severed her emotions on Ning Cheng's body, causing Ning Cheng to be killed. As such, all of Ning Cheng's things appeared in the Severing Emotions Dao sect. This time, the 3 drops of geocentric Nining essence that appeared in the Grand Peace City came from the Severing Emotions Dao sect. The geocentric Nining essence is simply too precious, coupled with the fact that the Severing Emotions Dao sect found Ning City first, and obtained the things of Ning City, I'm afraid. Yes, once Su Anjin recovers her cultivation, no one in our floating snow palace would be her opponent. Sang Jieju's voice arrived in time. Master. In Kongchan whispered. Sang Jieju looked at In Kongchan tenderly. Only she knew that In Kongchan's soul was missing a trace. It was not innate, but rather someone plotted against her. Unfortunately, even now, she still didn't know who had plotted against her daughter. In the floating snow palace's discussion hall, almost all the crucible transformation cultivators had already arrived. Sitting in the middle was a woman wearing a blue robe, with an indifferent expression. After Sang Jieju and the 4th princess entered the discussion hall, they took the initiative to sit on both sides of the cyan-robed woman. In Kongchan gave a respectful bow and spoke. In Kongchan greets Grand Palace Master. This green-robed woman's face softened a bit, before she nodded to In Kongchan and spoke. Kongchan, come and sit next to me. After In Kongchan sat down, the woman spoke up. There are rumors that the Severing Emotions Dao sect has already obtained all the things in Ning City. Moreover, the Grand Peace City has also spread the news of the geocentric Nining essence, and the 9-colored tree branch being auctioned off. What do you all think? The old woman sitting in the first seat on the left spoke up in a hoarse voice. The rumors say that it came from the West Lu makeshift city. Moreover, I heard that it is a disciple of the Red Star Sword faction. This matter must have been deliberately done by someone. After the Severing Emotions Dao sect obtained these two things, how could they casually give it to their disciples? This is absolutely impossible. Another middle-aged female cultivator spoke up with a sneer. The second palace master thinks that it is absolutely impossible. How could it appear in the auction? Does the profound light chamber of commerce dare to deceive the entire Tian Continent's academies? The old woman's complexion suddenly turned ugly. She was just about to speak, when the palace master at the head of the table spoke up. This discussion is for the sake of my floating snow palace, regardless of whether this matter is true or not. Since the geocentric Nining essence has already appeared, we must treat it as if it is true. According to the words brought back by Kongchan, Ning City should have finally been successfully severed by Su Yingde. Since it was the result of severing her emotions, then it would not be strange for his things to appear in the Severing Emotions Dao sect. For us, it would be better for Ning City's things to fall into anyone's hands rather than the Severing Emotions Dao sect, not to mention. As the palace master spoke till here, she deliberately glanced at Kongchan at her side, before continuing. What's more, Kongchan is the future grand palace master of my floating snow palace. Her soul is damaged. As such we must obtain those 3 drops of geocentric Nine essence. I think that what the palace master said is right. The severing emotions Dao Sex Su Anjin also suffered damage to her soul. If Ning City's things were not obtained by the severing emotions Dao sect, then for the sake of these 3 drops of geocentric Nine essence and the 9-colored mirage tree, Su Anjin would have personally gone to the Grand Peace City. As such, it would be even more difficult for us to obtain the geocentric Nine essence. As such we must go all out this time. A petite female cultivator stood up and spoke. That blue-robed palace master shook her head. What Sixth Sister said is not completely correct. I think that regardless of whether the severing emotions Dao sect obtain Ning City's things or not, they would have to go all out. Su Anjin would also have to personally go to the auction. Everyone knew what Su Anjin needed, if the geocentric Nine essence came out, but she would not personally go there. Then it would mean that the rumors were true, that the severing emotions Dao sect really did have a lot of geocentric Nine essence. Therefore, she wanted to go and buy the geocentric Nine essence and the 9-colored mirage tree, and also to dispel the rumors for the severing emotions Dao sect. If Ning City's things were not obtained by the severing emotions Dao sect, then they would definitely send out their entire sect to snatch the geocentric Nine essence. As for our floating snow palace, we absolutely cannot let Su Anjin recover her cultivation. This is not just a matter of 3 drops of geocentric Nine essence, but a matter of life and death for our floating snow palace. All the people in the discussion hall understood the meaning of the palace master's words. The floating snow palace and the severing emotions Dao sect were mortal enemies. Once an expert like Su Anjin, who hated the floating snow palace, recovered her cultivation, then the floating snow palace would definitely not have a good time. At the same time, in the severing emotions Dao sect's discussion hall, a young girl wearing a black robe was sitting on a black lotus, while looking at the empty space outside the discussion hall, as if her mind was wandering. None of the people in the discussion hall dared to speak, as they waited for the young girl sitting on the black lotus to speak. Even the severing emotions Dao sect's headmaster was waiting for instructions. After a while the black-robed young girl spoke in a light voice. Someone wants to harm my severing emotions Dao sect. Initially after Dai, or severed her emotions, we did not find Ning Cheng's remains, which indicates that Ning Cheng's things might have been taken away by someone else. This person and my severing emotions Dao sect have enmity. As such he spread rumors to deliberately harm my sect. Great-grandmother, the matter of going to the Grand Peace City, just leave it to me. I will definitely bring back the geocentric Nine essence and the 9-colored mirage tree. Great-grandmother can rest assured. Su Yingde, who was standing beside the black-robed young girl, spoke in an affirmative tone. The black-robed young girl shook her head and spoke. This time, there will definitely be a lot of people trying to snatch these 2 things. Moreover, most of them are experts from the academies. Therefore, it would be useless for you to go. I have to go myself. Not only will I go, but also the people from my severing emotions Dao sect will definitely not be few. Since someone has already taken out these 2 things, it means that there are even more. Without the geocentric Nine essence, I cannot recover. Once my cultivation is restored, then even if they plot against my severing emotions Dao sect, so what? It's just a bunch of chickens and dogs. Speaking till the end, the black-robed young girl's tone was filled with strong disdain and pride. The same scene was happening in the major academies, the Heavenly Dao Academy, the Scarlet Sun Weapon Sect, the Yin Yang Dao Sect and other academies were also coming out in full force. What they saw was not only the 3 drops of geocentric Nine essence from the Profound Light auction, but rather the other things behind these 3 drops. With the news that the Profound Light auction was about to auction the geocentric Nine essence and the 9-colored mirage tree branch, the rumors in the West Lu makeshift city also spread out even more crazily. The news of the severing emotions Dao sect's Su Anjin and the many crucible transformation cultivators coming out in full force was also caught by everyone in the shortest possible time. At this moment, Not only were all the experts paying attention to the auction, but they were also paying attention to the Severing Emotions Dao Sec's Su Anjin. If Ning Cheng's things were taken away by Su Yingde, then it would definitely be placed on Su Anjin's body. Ning Cheng believed that even if the Severing Emotions Dao sect came to know that there were people drawing hatred towards the Severing Emotions Dao sect, the experts from the Severing Emotions Dao sect would definitely come out. Not only that, Yin Kongchan's floating snow palace would definitely send people over. These two academies would definitely fight against each other. Therefore, he calmly went to arrange the transmission array, in order to speed up the transmission speed of the transmission array. Each of the transmission arrays would at most cover a distance of a few thousand miles. If he connected the several transmission arrays together, then it would be more than a few tens of thousands of miles. As long as he succeeded and started the transmission, then he would definitely be able to escape. 100 miles away from the periphery of the Severing Emotions Dao sect, Ning Cheng, who had already finished arranging the transmission array, stood alone. His calculations were not wrong. At this time he came to know that most of the experts from the Severing Emotions Dao sect had already left. For him, this was the only thing he could do. If he wanted to take away all the top experts from the Severing Emotions Dao sect, then it would be absolutely impossible. The Severing Emotions Dao sect was very careful, although they had dispatched a lot of experts, but the Academy's mountain protecting Grand Array had already fallen down. That is to say, at this time, even if someone came to attack the Severing Emotions Dao sect, the experts from the Severing Emotions Dao sect would be able to rush back in the shortest possible time. Of course, Ning Cheng would not be an idiot to attack the Severing Emotions Dao sect. The Severing Emotions Dao sect's mountain protecting Grand Array was a rank 9 Grand Array, while Ning Cheng was just a rank 7 array formation Grandmaster. Wanting to break through this array formation would be somewhat difficult. However, he still had nearly a month's time. In this month, if he still could not enter the Severing Emotions Dao sect, then he would have no choice but to dejectedly leave. No matter how good the strategy was, it also required the strength to match. Although the Severing Emotions Dao sect's reputation was much more resounding than the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, but Ning Cheng felt that the Severing Emotions Dao sect was far less magnificent than the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. This was the heritage of a sect. The heritage of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was much stronger than that of the Severing Emotions Dao sect. In the evening, Ning Cheng had already stealthily arrived outside the Severing Emotions Dao sect. He intended to find a place and carefully study the rank 9 array formation on how to enter. Although he did not have the ability to break through the rank 9 array formation, but if he wanted to find a way to enter, then there was still a chance for him to do it. After all, the Severing Emotions Dao sect had only placed down the Grand Array and had not sealed off the mountain. Chapter 332. Ning Cheng hid himself for a whole day. After a day of deduction, he found that this mountain-protecting Grand Array was not a rank 9 Grand Array at all. At best, it was just a mountain-protecting Grand Array that was barely close to a rank 9 Grand Array. Unfortunately, even so, it would take him at least half a month to enter the mountain guarding formation with his own ability. Moreover, he could not let anyone discover him during the process of deducing the formation. Ning Cheng hesitated, although he had told the auction house that he would only start the auction of the geocentric 9 essence a month later, but this was only the most ideal situation. Right now, all the monsters, low-level experts, and people that he had a grudge against had been brought to Great Peace City. Who knew if there would be a problem with the auction? Or even start ahead of time? Not to mention that after entering the Severing Emotions Dao sect, he would have to spend a lot of time. He was going to steal something, so he would definitely need to break all kinds of arrays and restrictions along the way, which would consume a lot of energy and time. Therefore, it was absolutely impossible to use half a month to deduce the mountain guarding array. A Severing Emotions Dao sect's Soul Essence female cultivator landed outside the mountain protecting Grand Array. This Soul Essence female cultivator took out a jade card and sent it out, causing the array formation to quickly open up to an entrance. After the female cultivator entered, the entrance quickly closed up again. When Ning Cheng saw this, he immediately called out Grey Toot Toot, as he engraved a concealment restriction on his miniature world ring and hung it around Grey Toot Toot's neck and spoke, You just have to think of a way to wander around the entrance. If you see a beautiful woman, then you just have to act like a spoiled child. As long as you mix into the array formation, then it would be fine. Saying that, Ningcheng did not even wait for Grey Toot Toot to call out in protest, and directly entered the miniature world. Grey Toot Toot was helpless, and could only stand at the entrance of the mountain protecting Grand Array and act cute. This time, Grey Toot Toot did not have to wait for long, before another beautiful female cultivator on a flying sword landed at the entrance of the mountain protecting Grand Array. This pretty-looking female cultivator was a late-stage profound core cultivator. When she saw Grey Toot Toot shaking its head and wagging its tail, she suddenly frowned. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness was also paying attention to the outside. When he saw the female cultivator frowning, he immediately knew that Grey Toot Toot's act of acting cute had failed. He quickly sent a sound transmission to Grey Toot Toot to escape. Grey Toot Toot did not want to stay in this place for a long time. So when Ningcheng's sound transmission came back, it immediately broke into a run. Grey Toot Toot had just left the place, when a fireball fell on the place where Grey Toot Toot had just been standing. It could be seen that as long as Grey Toot Toot was even half a step slower, it would be turned into ashes by the fireball. Fortunately, this female cultivator did not take Grey Toot Toot seriously. After Grey Toot Toot left, she directly took out her jade card and entered the array formation. Ningcheng came out of the miniature world, as he once again wore the ring on his finger and started cursing. The women of the Severing Emotions Dao sect really could not be treated as women. According to his experience, if an average girl met a cute little thing like Grey Toot Toot, they would definitely pick it up and bring it back. But when the female disciples of the Severing Emotions Dao sect saw Grey Toot Toot, they unexpectedly turned into fireballs. No wonder the women in this place cultivated such a disgusting cultivation method. After Ningcheng sent Grey Toot Toot into the miniature world, he still did not try to deduce the array formations. He would only spend time to deduce the formation if he had no other choice. Now that Grey Toot Toot couldn't do it, he had to do it himself. Hiding at the entrance of the array formation, Ningcheng completely converged his aura. In just half a day he encountered a soul sculpting cultivator, a soul essence cultivator, and a late-stage profound core cultivator entering the Grand Array. Ningcheng was very patient and did not move at all. Until the day was about to end, an early-stage profound core female cultivator arrived at the entrance of the mountain protecting Grand Array. The moment this early-stage profound core female cultivator took out her jade card and opened the entrance to the array formation, Ningcheng immediately activated his twin wings of the heavenly clouds. The twin wings of the heavenly clouds immediately teleported, brushing past the side of this profound core female cultivator. Although Ningcheng had used a teleportation technique, moreover he had also brought out his concealment cultivation method to the extreme. Even after the teleportation ended, he immediately turned invisible again. However, this female cultivator still felt that something was wrong. She doubtfully swept out with her spiritual consciousness over and over again, but still did not find any problems. The anomaly from a moment ago felt as if it was just an illusion. As soon as Ningcheng entered the mountain protecting Grand Array of the Severing Emotions Dao sect, he immediately felt a much richer spiritual qi compared to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Although he sighed at the wealth of the Severing Emotions Dao sect, he did not dare to move. Just a moment ago that profound core female cultivator was still looking around. It was clear that although his teleportation was fast, it was still detected by the other party. It was not until the time it took for half an incense stick to burn that female cultivator frowned, as she brought out her flying sword and quickly flew away. Ningcheng heaved a sigh of relief. He did not immediately enter the depths of the Severing Emotions Dao sect, but once again returned to the foot of the mountain protecting Grand Array, and found a place to arrange a few explosion arrays. Using the explosion arrays to break the array was the last resort. Ningcheng arranged a few explosion formations in this place, just in case. With everything ready, Ningcheng began to sneak into the depths of the Severing Emotions Dao sect. With his concealment movement technique, in this academy filled with experts, unless it was a person with a keen eye, it would be very difficult to find him. Suanjin was the most powerful person in the Severing Emotions Dao sect. As such, she would definitely live on the Severing Emotions Peak. Ning Cheng did not go to any other place. As such, he directly sneaked into the Severing Emotions Peak. The Severing Emotions Peak of the Severing Emotions Dao sect was very easy to recognize. It was located in the middle of the Severing Emotions Dao sect, and was also the highest peak. The spiritual qi in the surroundings was much richer than the other peaks. Now that the experts of the Severing Emotions Dao sect had all come out, moreover with the mountain protecting Grand Array, there were not many disciples walking around the academy. As such, Ning Cheng was able to easily arrive at the periphery of the Severing Emotions Peak. The Severing Emotions Peak was a few hundred feet high and towered into the clouds, while the outside of the peak was blocked by a Grand Array. Ning Cheng knew that it was impossible to enter the Severing Emotions Peak through the mountain protecting Grand Array. Not to mention that there was no one going in or out of the Severing Emotions Peak. Even if there were people going in or out, he would not be able to mix in so easily. However, what made Ning Cheng feel relieved was that the defensive array outside the Severing Emotions Peak was only a rank 7 array formation. Ning Cheng himself was a tier 7 array formation grandmaster. As such, he was not able to crack an array formation that was close to tier 9. However, in the face of a rank 7 array formation, even if this array formation was constantly communicating with Su Anjin, it was still possible for him to sneak in. Su Anjin's cultivation compared to Ning Cheng was just like a strong man compared to a baby. However, in terms of array formation cultivation, she would not be any higher than Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng, in order to cultivate array formations, had spent several years at the bottom of the Blood River Mountains. Moreover, his several years of research was not something that an ordinary cultivator could compare to. Even if Su Anjin's attainments in arranging array formations was slightly higher than Ning Cheng's, but in terms of cracking array formations, she was definitely not comparable to Ning Cheng. What's more, Su Anjin's attainments in array formations were not necessarily higher than Ning Cheng's. In just half a day, Ning Cheng entered the Severing Emotions Peak without disturbing Su Anjin in the slightest. After entering the Severing Emotions Peak, he swept out with his spiritual consciousness. At this time, what he feared the most was that Su Anjin would take away Shi Qionghua's soul. If Su Anjin had not suppressed Shi Qionghua's life essence in the Severing Emotions Peak, then he would not have been able to do anything about it. With his current cultivation, if he wanted to snatch something from Su Anjin's body, it would be 10,000 times more difficult. However, Ning Cheng guessed that the possibility of such a thing happening was not great. To suppress a life essence, one must be in an extremely cold place. Moreover, one must also arrange a variety of array formations to protect it. If one did not have a top-notch magical weapon, wanting to carry one's life essence on one's body at any time and place was extremely unlikely. It was not that one could not carry one's life essence on one's body, but to carry it on one's body, one must have a treasure like the soul-nourishing wood or the underworld soul flower. Moreover, in this way, it would not be considered as suppression, but at best it would be imprisonment. There was an essential difference between imprisonment and suppression. The imprisoned life essence could dissipate, and could even lose consciousness. However, the suppressed life essence could not move at all, and each and every action would be controlled by the person suppressing it. If one wanted to imprison one's life essence, and achieve the same effect as the suppression, then the level of the array formation restrictions must have reached at least rank 8 or above. In Ning Cheng's view, Su Anjin's level of array formations was not that high. Within the range of Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness, more than a dozen restrictions appeared, but he did not see any experts. Instead, there were more than a dozen medicine apprentices coming and going from the various restrictions. With Ning Cheng's cultivation, his spiritual consciousness could not directly penetrate through these restrictions to see what was inside. However, Ning Cheng guessed that these restrictions must have contained a medicine garden, and the heavenly cusp flower was most likely in one of these medicine gardens. Ning Cheng carefully broke one of the restrictions, and found that it was filled with rank 6 and above spiritual grasses. He withdrew from this medicine garden, but did not touch these spiritual grasses. These things could be taken away when he left. Right now, he had to first find the place where Shi Qionghua's life essence was being suppressed. As Ning Cheng opened one restriction after another, One after another high-level spiritual grasses and medicine gardens appeared in front of Ning Cheng. In the face of so many high-level spiritual grasses, Ning Cheng's heart was filled with disappointment, as he did not see the heavenly cusp flower. Despite the disappointment, Ning Cheng still carefully concealed his figure as he passed through these restrictions. He had just entered the Severing Emotions Peak. As such, there were still many places that he had not explored yet. Ning Cheng really wanted to grab an essence-building realm cultivator and interrogate him, but he still forcibly held back his impulse. Su Anjin was definitely not a good person. She had placed these medicine apprentices here. Once someone tried to touch these medicine apprentices, then maybe she would immediately know about it. Inside the Severing Emotions Peak, even if he was facing all the lower-leveled cultivators, Ning Cheng was still very cautious and careful. Although it took him half an incense stick worth of time to travel, it took him an entire day before he finally arrived at the entrance of a huge dark palace. After entering this place, Ning Cheng did not dare to show even half a shred of carelessness. It did not matter if he spent a bit more time, but he must not let anyone find him. This huge dark palace had the words "Falling in Love is Meaningless" written on it in large letters. At the entrance of this dark palace, there were 2 profound core doormen cultivators standing guard. The dark palace's entrance was wide open. With Ning Cheng's ability, it could be said that he could easily enter this palace. Ning Cheng did not go in easily. He hid himself outside the entrance of the palace, while using his spiritual consciousness to repeatedly investigate the palace. Caution is the parent of safety. He only had one chance, and he had already bought enough time. As such, there was no need to be anxious. After another half a day passed by, Ning Cheng was secretly covered in a cold sweat. He knew that his caution was not wrong. Although the entrance to the palace looked ordinary, but there was an extremely concealed rank 6 trigger restriction. Anyone who entered this palace would immediately trigger this restriction. After this restriction was triggered, the palace would not show any abnormalities, but the person who arranged this restriction would definitely know that someone had entered this place. As for who arranged this rank 6 trigger restriction, Ning Cheng did not need to guess. He knew that it was Su Anjin without a doubt. Chapter 333. Although Su Anjin's attainments in array formations were not much different from Ning Cheng's, but when it came to breaking array formations and restrictions, Ning Cheng was actually a lot stronger than Su Anjin. Ning Cheng stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds and entered the dark main hall, bypassing the rank 6 trigger restrictions, and directly arrived at the depths of the main hall. The 2 profound core doormen did not know that Ning Cheng had already entered the main hall. Compared to the previous female cultivator in the profound core realm, these 2 profound core doormen were much less astute. Passing through the empty main hall, Ning Cheng arrived at a dim spiritual grass garden. Ning Cheng could barely be regarded as a rank 5 profound pill master. As such, he knew that other than some special spiritual grasses, most of the spiritual grasses needed light. Planting spiritual grasses in this dim courtyard, coupled with her own residence being so dark, Ning Cheng could only say that Su Anjin herself was a shady person. The spiritual grass garden was sealed with restrictions. Although Ning Cheng could easily break the restrictions here, Ning Cheng did not dare to do so. This was Su Anjin's lair. In case he accidentally disturbed Su Anjin, it would make it even more difficult for him to find Shi Qionghua's life essence. Regardless of whether the heavenly cusp flower was in this spiritual grass garden or not, he would have to wait until he rescued Shi Qionghua's life essence. Ning Cheng carefully used his spiritual consciousness to investigate this place several times, and finally found that there were only some simple trigger restrictions, causing him to feel relieved. He passed through the dim spiritual grass garden and arrived outside a very ordinary-looking immortal cave. The immortal cave was tightly closed, surrounded by many restrictions, and the spiritual qi was extremely rich. Ning Cheng guessed that this was the place where Su Anjin usually went into seclusion. Other than this very ordinary-looking immortal cave, there were no other entrances around. It seemed that he had already reached the last place of the Severing Emotions Peak. The Severing Emotions Peak was really simple, which made Ning Cheng somewhat worried. If he could not find Shi Qionghua's life essence in Su Anjin's immortal cave, then this trip would be tantamount to him coming here in vain. Su Anjin's immortal cave looked very ordinary. and Ning Cheng could easily break the restrictions above it in the shortest possible time. Ning Cheng was afraid that Su Anjin might have used some tricks on the restrictions, so he hid outside the immortal cave for 2 days, before he silently opened the restrictions of the immortal cave and entered the immortal cave. At this time, Ning Cheng finally arrived at the place where Su Anjin was cultivating. The inside of this place looked much simpler than the outside of her immortal cave. Ning Cheng also did not think that Su Anjin's immortal cave would be so simple and crude. Other than the magnificent and imposing main hall before entering, after entering, there was only such a small cultivation room. Ning Cheng repeatedly swept out with his spiritual consciousness, making sure that there were no hidden entrances in the surroundings, and that there really was only one room in this place. There was a praying mat in the middle of the room. It was hard to tell what it was made of. Apart from that, there wasn't even a chair. Needless to say, there was no need to mention things like a boudoir and a bed. Ning Cheng did not find it too strange. Although Shi Qianghua had said that Su Anjin did not look old, but in his opinion, this Su Anjin was already Su Yingday's grandmother. As such, she was definitely an old woman. Of course, an old woman wouldn't decorate her room in a gorgeous way. Besides, he also heard that Su Anjin's corporeal body was in tatters. As such, he did not need a bed. Although there was nothing in the room, Ning Cheng still did not give up. If Su Anjin managed to suppress Shi Qianghua's life essence, then it would definitely be in the vicinity of the place where Su Anjin usually cultivated. Su Anjin would never place Shi Qianghua's life essence in such a far place. It simply did not conform to logic. But before Ning Cheng entered this place, he had already used his spiritual consciousness to look around, and found that there was absolutely no place outside Su Anjin's immortal cave that could suppress someone's life essence. Ning Cheng did not spend much time before he found a hidden entrance to an array formation under the praying mat in the middle of the room. Carefully moving away the praying mat, Ning Cheng threw out a few array flags, causing a dark entrance to appear in front of him. A cold and gloomy aura leaked out from this hole. Ning Cheng wanted to use his spiritual consciousness to observe how deep this hole was, but he found that his spiritual consciousness was unexpectedly blocked. Below this hole was a shielding restriction, as well as a forbidden space restriction. In this black hole, his spiritual consciousness could only revolve around his body, and was unable to extend further than that. It was a dark hole, without any steps, without any end. One could not use a magical weapon to fly, nor could one release their spiritual consciousness outside. Even a crucible transformation cultivator would not be able to enter this place. If one was not afraid of death, then they could simply jump down and die directly. Although Ning Cheng was not a crucible transformation cultivator, but he had something that was much more powerful compared to a crucible transformation cultivator, and that was his twin wings of the heavenly clouds. The moment he saw this dark hole, Ning Cheng was sure that Shi Qianghua's life essence was suppressed down here. Ning Cheng did not hesitate to jump down, while simultaneously stimulating the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. The cold and gloomy aura assaulted him, causing Ning Cheng to quickly descend. He felt that he had fallen nearly 1,000 feet, before he finally landed on the ground. The Severing Emotions peak was only a few hundred feet high. It could be seen that this place was already at the bottom of the Severing Emotions peak. It was truly a good place to hide. The surroundings were densely packed with restrictions. If replaced by a person who did not understand array formations, then there would only be a single path for them. That is courting death. In other words, if Su Anjin was still here, then even if he understood array formations, he would not be able to enter this place. Even if he managed to enter, it would only be a dead end for him. At this time, Ning Cheng could clearly see that the place he was standing on was a huge white ice stone. In the middle of the ice stone, there was an altar with a radius of about 10 feet. The altar was surrounded by 9 dark red pillars. These 9 pillars were slightly slanted, covering the entire altar, as if they were pressing down on it. In the middle of the altar, there were 9 copper lamps, each of which had a crystal ball slowly rotating above it. At the bottom of the copper lamps, there was an ice-cold aura constantly invading the copper lamps, which was then transmitted to the crystal balls through the copper lamps. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness immediately found a familiar aura. Shi Qionghua's aura was circling around one of the copper lamp's crystal balls. Sure enough, she was being suppressed here. Moreover, it was not just Shi Qionghua who was being suppressed. Su Anjin, that old woman, really was not a good thing. Although Ningcheng did not know how Su Anjin would use these crystal balls, but he knew that once she used them, Shi Qionghua would not have the ability to resist. No wonder Shi Qionghua wanted to go to Heaven's Way. In the face of this kind of suppression, would she be able to escape from Heaven's Way? Ningcheng was very skeptical. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the crystal balls one by one, but he did not immediately take away these crystal balls. What Ningcheng did not expect was that he once again found a familiar aura. The aura of Yin Kongchan's life essence unexpectedly appeared here. No wonder Yin Kongchan was looking for the geocentric 9 essence. Her life essence was also suppressed in the severing emotions peak. After a dozen breaths, Ningcheng's complexion turned ugly to look at. Wanting to take away the life essence crystal balls in this place without Su Anjin knowing about it, it was absolutely impossible. At least with his current ability, he could not do it. Since he was going to be discovered anyway, Ningcheng simply took out a huge sign, wrote a few words on it, and inserted it on the side. Then he was too lazy to carefully crack the array formation, and instead forcibly brought out the cosmic true devil axe. As he smashed it towards the 9 slanted pillars. Boom boom boom. Bursts of explosions sounded out. As Ningcheng grabbed the 9 copper lamps with the crystal balls and put them into his ring, before he instantly rushed out. Now that he had obtained the things he wanted, he now had to escape with the fastest speed possible. Ningcheng no longer had any scruples. In just a twinkling of an eye, he rushed out of Su Anjin's immortal cave, and once again arrived at the dark spiritual grass garden. This time, Ningcheng did not slowly try to break the array formation, as he brought out the cosmic true devil axe, and directly smashed down towards the spiritual grass garden's restriction. Catcha, a sound emerged, as the restriction instantly shattered. This was not a defensive restriction. As such, it did not have even half a shred of defensive effect. As such, Ningcheng would not have to expend much effort to break it. Ningcheng did not even have the time to observe the spiritual grasses inside. As if he was harvesting wheat, he immediately pulled out all the spiritual grasses and threw them into his ring. Not waiting for Ningcheng to rush out of the palaces falling in love into nothingness, Ningcheng could already feel a powerful spatial fluctuation. At this moment, Ningcheng had pierced through the severing emotions Dao Sect's sky. The Grand Peace City's auction had not yet begun, but the major academies of the Tian continent had already gathered here. The Severing Emotions Dao sect had already occupied the rest stop closest to the Profound Light auction house. At this time, inside the rest stop, Su Anjin and the many crucible transformation elders of the Severing Emotions Dao sect were discussing matters in a spacious room. A cultivator in the essence building realm was trembling as he stood in front of Su Anjin, narrating every single word spoken by that second-generation ancestor of the Red Star Sword faction in the West Lu spiritual tea house. Su Anjin, who was listening with a frown, suddenly had a change in her expression, as the black robe on her body began to flutter without any wind. Grandmother. Su Yingde only managed to call out those 2 words, before she did not have the time to say anything else, when she was interrupted by Su Anjin. Immediately return to the academy. We have fallen into the trap of luring the tiger away from the mountain. Elder Taoist, why don't we leave a few people here, while the rest of us go back? A crucible transformation elder had also not finished his words, when he was interrupted by Su Anjin. Let's go, all of us immediately go back, don't leave even a single one behind. If it was something else, then it would have been fine. Even if she did not obtain the geocentric 9 essence, she, Su Anjin, would still have a chance to recover. However, someone unexpectedly sneaked into the Severing Emotions peak, and blew open her 9 revolving soul-subduing grand array. Not only did they smash apart the 9 soul-subduing pillars, they also took away the 9 wisps of soul essence that she had carefully selected for countless years, and even stole her heavenly cuss flower. Compared to the geocentric 9 essence, these things were undoubtedly 100 times more precious. The auction has not yet started, yet the Severing Emotions Dao sect actually left? Suanjin took all the elders of the Severing Emotions Dao sect and left the Grand Peace City. Suanjin had just left the Grand Peace City when the major academies immediately received the news. The airship of the Severing Emotions Dao sect was intercepted several hundred miles outside the Grand Peace City, and the first to bear the brunt were the Crucible Transformation cultivators from the Floating Snow Palace. In addition to that, the Heavenly Dao Academy, Red Sun Weapon Sect, Yin-Yang Dao Sect, Red Star Sword Faction, Star Gathering Mansion, Thousand Zen Hall, Battle Devil Hall and other academies, all of them sent their experts over. Of the 10 major academies, other than the Great Change Island and the newly promoted Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, the rest had all arrived. What do you want to do? The Severing Emotions Dao Sect's headmaster had an ugly expression on his face. Suanjin, who was sitting on the Black Lotus, had an even uglier expression on her face. She knew that she had not only fallen into the trap of luring the tiger away from the mountain, but had also fallen into the hands of these people. If her cultivation had recovered, then these people would only be ants in her eyes. Unfortunately, her cultivation was far from recovering. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.